35 laps of action to come here tonight for the grand final of the Nations Cup. 12 drivers on the grid, but only one winner for World Series 1 here in Montreal. And here is how the field will be set. It is Kylian Drumont, the Frenchman, who starts on pole position, a fan favourite here tonight. Takuma Miyazono will line up alongside him on that front row of the grid. His compatriot Takuma Sasaki heads row 2. Alongside him is Koke Lopez, the former champion. Next up, you've got Kai de Bruyne, the Dutchman. Can he do well in the X2019? Well, they have Killen Roach hot on his heels. Next up, you've got Valerio Gallo, another former champion, 7th on the grid for him. Guy Barbara, the Australian, lines up in 8th position. On the fringe of the top 10, Adriano Carazza, 9th place, a lot of work for him to do, and likewise Jose Serrano didn't go his way in the sprint race. He lines up right down the back of the field, as well as Angel Estrada in 11th place, with Robbie Heck, the American driver, completing a 12-driver strong field. So 3 tyre compounds available, 35 laps of action. Kylian Drumont on the soft tyres there, JB. He wants to go and get as much of a gap as he can possible early on.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar with the tyre strategies in these World Series events, the soft tyre is a statement of intent. It's saying, I'm going to go fast very quickly at the start of this race. Do not get in my way. And interestingly, only, as you said, Kylian Drumont opting for that. Miyazono, Sasaki, Lopez and de Bruyne from 2nd to 5th, all opting for that slower medium compounder tyre. Callum Roach, also interesting, in that hard in P6. So we'll see how that pans out for him.
Well, a very fast-paced race is what we're expecting. 35 laps of action in qualifying. They were doing sub-1 minute laps. I wonder what it would look like under rated conditions, and I am wondering who will be claiming 6 points and the checkered flag in those 35 laps time. It's Kylian Drumont, the man who won the sprint race a few moments ago, who starts on pole position, but will he be taking the checkered flag here at Road Atlanta? It's World Series 1 for the Nations Cup. The grand final begins now as Kylian Drumont leads the field down to the first corner, followed by Miyazono. And look at Lopez already dragging alongside Takuma Sasaki and taking 3rd place down into the first corner. So Lopez with a bold statement of intent, moving up a position already as he sets his sights firmly on Takuma Miyazono for 2nd.
Yes, Sasaki definitely caught napping there as Gallo does the same to Callum Roach behind, goes up into P6, but Lopez already up into P3. That's important to do that early. You think you have the pace, try and get out front early and try and get those lap times in, make the best of the tyre on. Drumont, Miyazono, Lopez and Sasaki are your order as we go onto the back straight for the first time. Here, I would say, is the first real overtaking opportunity, but Carazza down in P7 has already made up 2 places from his qualifying position in 9th. He likes a comeback, does Carazza, so we'll see how he does as the race goes on. Coming down the bottom for that for the first time, heavy braking downhill here, be careful of that. And then very tricky right-hander, try and be careful the front over the crest, and that is 1 lap done here at Atlanta. The pace is frantic already.
Yeah, you can see just how fast they're moving around this circuit. You can see how much it funnels down and goes one at a time through that chicane as well. You've got an opportunity to go 2 by 2 down that back straight. Look at this, hard tyre runners, Roach, Barbara, Inestrosa, Heck, all into the pits at the end of this first lap. The hard tyre's lava, they want to get off it and onto the softs.
Yeah, so people coming in for that tyre, you're wondering why they're doing only 1 lap on this hard compounder tyre. Well, the regulations say you have to use 1 tyre at least once. It doesn't say each tyre at least once, sorry. It doesn't say how long you have to be on the tyre. So if the hard compounder tyre is a 2nd lap slow, you know what, in the bin.
Penalties coming in for Takuma Miyazono. Valerio Gallo at the start of the 2nd lap. Is that track limits? It must be. Yeah, half a second there for Miyazono. That's going to drop him into the clutches, and if not, allow Koke Lopez to get past him. He's coming into the penalty zone, is Takuma Miyazono. What about Lopez? He's going to go cascading on through and says thanks very much and goes into 2nd place then. So the Spaniard having a quite brilliant start to this race, and now he's got his sights firmly set on Kylian Drumont.
And Koke Lopez is comfortably the most experienced man here out of anyone in the field. This guy's he's done 63 races he's done at these live events. He knows how to win races, he knows how to win championships. So yeah, definitely any move to be made, he'll make it. On board Sasaki, what a great camera view. There's going to be a real sense of speed of this thing. I drove this thing around to yesterday, and I've got to tell you, it is very difficult to keep up with this thing. It's incredibly quick for this S section.
You can see there you can't go 2 by 2. It's 1 at a time through that section of the lap. Then it begins to open out a little bit, but there's not that many heavy braking zones on this circuit. You go down into 4th gear for this right-hander. It's the chicane really where the best overtaking opportunity is on this track, and you can see now it's the age-old story. Miyazono versus Sasaki. They were knocking 7 bells out of each other in the sprint race here earlier on tonight, and now they're close to one another, nose to tail on track. But Miyazono darts out of the slipstream here at Koke Lopez as we come down the back straight. Miyazono's got the inside line, he's got track position, but does he have the overspeed on Lopez to get 2nd place back? He does. So Miyazono firmly asserting his dominance over the Spaniards.
The draft is so strong in these cars. You might notice, look out front, look who's managed to break that draft already on that soft tyre, Kylian Drummond. So watch out for Kylian. He needs to put in some very quick laps now, but we'll check in with him later. Meanwhile, on board still Takuma Sasaki. This time it's Coco Lopez. He's looking the back of, but not his countryman, Takuma Miyazono. We go back down the hill here. What an awesome circuit, Road Atlanta. One of the best circuits in the US, in my opinion, and probably in the world, actually, if we're going to talk about that. But such a challenge for these guys and these drivers. And look at the back of Sasaki. Look who's managed to catch him back up. It's Kai de Bruin. Out of nowhere comes the Dutch driver. Looks up the inside here, into along to the straight, and Kai de Bruin up into 4th place there, just biding his time, made the pass, but now he's going to be giving that draft to Sasaki behind him.
Yeah, lunging onto the scene and lunging to the inside of Takuma Sasaki was Kai de Bruin then, and Sasaki's trying to repay the favour as we come down this back straight. Bit of a tap of the lights there for de Bruin as we head down into there, but you can see him feathering the throttle here to Takuma Sasaki. He doesn't want to go past, he wants to use the slip through to his advantage. I wonder, because we're expecting this to be a bit of a fuel consumption race as well, if he's just trying to save a little bit of fuel in these early stages as well.
Yeah, Stewart seeming thinking something to investigate there between the two drivers. I don't think so. It's just hard racing from there. But going back up the hill here, and already the gap between de Bruin and Lopez. You see this going on. Here's a replay actually a bit further down the hill. This is Serrano and Carrazza. So Serrano gets past Carrazza, just getting a little moment off that curve. Though I saw him in qualifying make that same mistake. So it's very tricky to put down 800 horsepower with no traction control at that corner.
Yeah, especially with the aerodynamics are not working at their optimum, because of course you're not going that quick coming out of that particular turn on the track. Very aero dependent and very aero efficient cars, these machines. You can see Lopez there now down in 3rd place, 7 tenths of a second. He's sort of dropping off the back of Miyazono at this point. Sasaki's down into 5th position then at this point. De Bruin's up into 4th place. So down this back straight we go, and Sasaki with now more work to do than he was anticipating at this stage, especially given where the Japanese driver started. But de Bruin is on an absolute flyer here. He's right onto the back of Coco Lopez. They're both on the same competitive tyre. It's not like de Bruin's got an advantage with tyre company. He's got a phenomenal amount of pace. He's got the inside line. Can he lunge into T1? That was audacious from Kai de Bruin as he goes up into 3rd place.
Those sort of moves are just 100% commitment. Kai had already decided before it even got past Lopez that I'm going for this move. And if he turns in, he turns in. But Kai needs to do that. He's got pace right now. He cannot afford to have that pace hindered by the cars. But the Coco Lopez, very quick driver, but I wouldn't say in these cars he's the quickest in the field.
Just to give you an idea of the difference in terms of pace between de Bruin and Lopez. Lopez last time around a 1 minute flat, 7.94. Kai de Bruin, a 1 minute flat, 1.62. 6 tenths per second faster. In these cars around this lap, that's a 4 nights worth of pace.
And that is the fastest lap of the race, even faster than Drummond on the soft compound tyre.
Well, it's not over yet, is it? This one, Kai de Bruin. Kai de Bruin and Sasaki under investigation, so I wonder whether that's what caused Sasaki to go down the order. Let's have a look and see what happens later on as this continues on.
That's no further action.
Right, sorry, big pardon.
No further action there, so the steward's sinking it, that's fine. And we go back to this amazing battle. 290 kilometres an hour for the apex of T1 there. I cannot imagine the size of these virtual drivers and their necks are through there, they're massive. But what happened there? Sasaki just through Lopez got on the curb a little bit there?
Yeah, quite possibly, unless they said no further action, unless there was a bit of contact that we didn't see, and Lopez has just been the gentlemanly thing of letting off. I don't think that would be the case, but again, we didn't see exactly what happened. Anyway, it now sits with Sasaki in 4th place, Lopez in 5th position, de Bruin up the road in 3rd place.
Interestingly, Tom, sorry, I'm just looking at the timings. Miyazono was quicker than Drummond in that. And there's no slipstream, that is just pace. So maybe those soft tyres are starting to go the other way. Maybe the medium tyres are time to be on around 10.
Well, we were expecting the tyre distance to be about 7 laps or so, weren't we? We were expecting the mediums to be the favoured bit of rubber underneath these drivers. And Valerio Gallo there sitting in 6th place at the moment, not having too bad of a run. Got a good view of the battles unfolding in front of him, but he's not quite in contention for the podium places at this stage at the moment. This is what we are used to seeing in these longer formats of races. It starts off quite frantic, it gets a little bit quiet in the middle stages of the race, and then it really picks up towards the end as all the stretches begin to unfold in front of us.
And we're using all that curve there and a bit more and some of the grass on the entry the way in there. You know what, if it works, it works. And if the stewards don't say it's in the track limits, then it's all free real estate. So following Valerio Gallo as he closes onto the back of Coque Lopez. Lopez had a great start there, managed to get up to third place initially, but since then maybe lost a little bit of the pace and is starting to fall back down the field again. Drumont managing to lap a bit quicker that time around than Miazona, but I just traded him that time, so it's interesting to see that soft tyre not quite performing at this stage of the stint.
Don't you just see Kylian Drumont there? 2.3 seconds, the advantage he has on that soft cover tyres. Is he going to be coming in within a lap or so? Goes round this time, carrying on with those tyres. 1 minute flat 7.03. He was half a second slower than Miazona last time around.
So maybe.
Let's have a listen here to Lopez. Well, fascinating to hear there from Coque Lopez. Really good to get a bit of backstory about the driver, the former Nations Cup champion, as he sits in 5th position. Right behind him, though, is another former champion, Valerio Gallo. Look at the tyres on the rear of Kylian Drumont, down to 23%. They're going to be feeling pretty second-hand at this stage, and they're going to be going down at a fast rate of knots. He carries on in the lead of the race for another run round. Does the Frenchman at the moment.
He's got a box. He's got a box soon. He's doing 108 right now. So sorry, 1 minute 8.8 there, right? But that's still 6 tenths slower a lap. I mean, look at the gap in the front. 1.6 seconds now between Miazona and Drumont. I think if he stays out on this soft tyre any longer, he's going to risk ruining his strategy here, because Miazona is able to keep that pace on a tyre that is worse than Drumont. There you go. You see the gap there coming down a second in 2 laps. Drumont needs to respond to this.
So Drumont then through that right hander. This is where he's going to be really feeling the pain of the poor traction of those very worn soft tyres on the exit of that corner. Kylian Drumont just going to not be feeling good at all. Look at that rear left, down to 12%. The rear right is absolutely fine. Illustroza going into the pit lane then, so he's gone from the medium tyres. Where's he going to emerge? And on what tyre as well? I know he's a bit of a way down the order and out of sequence, but I'm just keen to see what his strategy is. He goes for the soft tyre then in the middle stint. Drumont has to come in, otherwise he's going to end up sending it into the barrier, I am sure. Miazona carries on the medium compounds. Now, where will Drumont go in the middle stint?
Then we saw that he had a really bad pit entry there. He I think just got out of shape going into the pit lane. So those rear tyres there just burn. He goes on to another set of the soft tyres. So that's at least a free stop then it's going to be from Kylian Drumont. And I think that's going to be the fastest way around here, Tom.
Yeah. I think that you're absolutely right. Go for the hard tyre as late as you possibly can. Try and get those, like we saw with Igor Fraga actually in the Manufacturers' Cup earlier on tonight. Just try and do a 1-lap dash on those and have as little time on it as you possibly can. See De Bruyne and Sasaki all over each other like a cheap suit at the moment as they try to find their way past one another and navigate around this fantastic Road Atlanta circuit over the crest of the hill. Sasaki there looking for an inside line. He's in the slipstream there, pulls out of it from kind of route, so doesn't want to get himself ahead of the Dutchman at the moment. He just wants to stay on his wheel tracks. Do that left and then the right hander we go up over the crest of the hill. These medium tyres still holding on pretty nicely as it stands there. That one's a little bit slower than we saw earlier on, but nonetheless it's still pretty good.
They're still lapping quicker than Drumont was when he boxed. So Miazona though, the pace very, very strong at the front of the field for Miazona. Comfortably the quickest man in the first 5 cars. Serrano actually the quickest man on track on that last lap, down in 6th place, but not quite making his way to the front of the field just yet. So with Valerio Gallo right in the wheel tracks and bumping Coque Lopez. Now he just got a warning for that, and I just saw him do it again there right on camera. So I'm not sure what the stewards are going to say about that. I don't think it was. It's a tricky one because you don't want to lose momentum. And you can do that by giving the guy a little bit of a tap. But if you do that, you might also risk damaging the cars.
That in front as well, you've got De Bruyne versus Sasaki. He keeps doing it, this Valerio Gallo, and the stewards will be coming down in like a ton of bricks. Lopez decides to get out of it. He lifts off the throttle down this back straight, says thanks very much, and lets Gallo back through. He wants absolutely no part of what's going on at the moment, does Coque Lopez, and I wonder whether Gallo may be under investigation once more and possibly being set for a penalty here, because the stewards have seen now another 3 instances of that over the course of that last lap.
Yeah, you can get away with it once or twice, but after that, maybe not. We'll see. I mean, I hope we don't get a penalty because I want to see the race start on circuit, but that's just how things are. There are rules for a reason. Still on board with the Italian Valerio Gallo. Pace is good for him on this mid-stint. 1 minute 0.2 last lap, so very, very quick at the moment. He's with the bit between his teeth, and now looking to try and close in on Sasaki and Kai de Bruin, who I think his effort has, I'd say it's not fallen off. He's done a 1 minute point 4 last lap. Interestingly, a mistake, I think, from Miyazono last lap. A 101.1, which is about half a second slower than he has been doing over the course of this race. Sasaki looking to the inside of Kai de Bruin, up the inside goes the Japanese driver up into P2. Now, can he catches a fellow countryman?
Beautiful block pass there from Sasaki as he came through the chicane. He's coming around that right hand, a tighter line there, and de Bruyn's not going to take this line down. Is he going to try and do exactly what he did last time on Lopez? He goes for the move on the inside and goes through back into second. Kai de Bruyn, fantastic bit of commitment he's got through that first corner, and that's left Sasaki under threat here from Valerio Gallo. Look at him pushing the rear of the Japanese driver's car. You've got to be so careful, especially through these high-speed corners. Any wheel-to-wheel contact, and it's straight off the single crash. Lopez there going through on Gallo, and you can see Roach there as well. He's out of position down in 11th place. So what's happened there to Callum Roach? Because he's set in 11th place. He's already a lap down. Something's gone wrong there for the American.
He's made 2 stops at this point, and it is a very short lap, but I'm not quite sure what happened. I think Lopez isn't the sort to run into the back of someone. Maybe Roach just got a bit out of position there. Roach now trying to unlap himself from Coque Lopez. We don't really get many instances of cars being lapped around here. Lapping up the inside, and now...
The thing is, this is going to cost Lopez time. Callum Roach, he's well entitled to do that. You can unlap yourself, but Lopez is going to be, well, madder than a polar bear in the Canaries after this one, because it's ruining his race at this stance. And look at the gap now that's been presented between himself and Sasaki. It's up to half a second. Now he's got all of that hard work to do again with a fast and furious American behind him.
Stewart's going to be busy on this one, I think. But yeah, what an interesting scenario, because we've never had a lap that's been this quick in these cars. And if you box twice earlier, which is what Callum Roach has done to try and have a fast run later on, then you can end up being a lap down. But honestly, at this point, I don't know what the rules are.
Right, let's see what the stewards do.
Another bit of contact.
Yeah, the thing is, it's too forceful, isn't it? If you're trying to lap yourself, fair enough, but you can't go and crash into the other side of the side of the other driver. You see, he picks up a warning there for colliding with another car, and I wonder whether it's going to be below before we see the stewards coming down on this like a time race. Look at this now. Gallo's trying to take advantage, trying to get his move done on the inside of Roach. Oh, this is getting very scrappy indeed. Lopez getting hung out to dry here. More hip and shoulder, more contact, and Serrano is coming through on his countryman as well, and does so for 4th place. So Serrano, in all of that drama, now moves onto the back of Takuma Sasaki for 3rd.
All this does is benefit Miyazono and Kai de Bruin, who are just outside of this battle. But yeah, I don't really know. It seems that it's just desperation from Callum Roach, because he's a lap down. He knows he's got pace in the tyres, but he can't do anything with it because he's stuck in this drain. So I mean, Miyazono there, a track limit penalty for our leader, so that's going to help Kai de Bruin a second. That's a massive penalty. This might allow Kai to have a run coming down to the bottom. So he'll cross the line, serve the 1 second penalty. Look in the mirrors there. Look at the rear view mirror. That is Kai de Bruin right behind us, closing up at a rate of knots. Won't quite be close enough for a move. But just like that, a 2.2 second gap is down to 4 tenths, and a mistake there from Kai straight away. I think he got a bit too excited, a bit too quickly there.
Bit of target fixation. Miyazono decides to just sack off that lap, comes into the pit lane then on the medium tyres, and decides to get a new set of boots on. That leaves de Bruin out in front to lead a Gran Turismo World Series race for the first time in 2024, as Miyazono goes then onto the soft compound tyre. Karatza also in as well from the mediums. Where's he going to go? Where's Drumont? There is our earlier race leader. Thankfully for him, he's kept out of all of the drama that unfolded in front of him, where we saw Roach getting involved in the action.
Where's Miyazono? So Drumont comes round now on the exit and comes out ahead of Miyazono. That's very important for Kilian Drumont. So good pace there for Drumont on that second stint. And there is Miyazono. That's a big gap there between Drumont and Miyazono. 7 seconds Drumont has pulled on that stint. Just on that soft compound of tyre. So it's looking like it's going the way of the Frenchman at the moment, but he does still owe some more tyres. So let's see a replay of what happened here.
Gallo versus Lopez up over the right. That's the moment there for Gallo. Whoa! Okay. Thankfully, no cars following him and collecting him in that, but that could have been a bit more messy. Kai de Bruin, former race leader, now into the pits, off of the medium tyres. Where's he going to go in his strategy? Most people have gone soft in the middle stints. And indeed, he does have a soft on then. So Kai de Bruin goes into the pits and will emerge where? That's the question, because he's had good pace actually in this middle stint of the race. He's looked pretty good so far as the Dutchman. Look at the rest of the field, though. They're all involved in traffic. You've got, oh, hang on a minute, Callum Roach right in front of Takuma Sasaki. Right behind them, you've got Serrano and Lopez. You've got Guy Barbara lunging to the inside as well of Serrano. The thing is, I get it, they're involved in their own battle further down the order. They're entitled to be involved in their own race, but you can't go and compromise somebody else's.
I can tell you right now, there's going to be some words after this race between the drivers, I think, because it's just one of these difficult situations where if you are in the lead, I mean, we do operate in sort of blue flag rule here, and you are entitled to overtake if you're quicker, but it's to the point where they're interfering so much that it's changing the outcome of the race. Sasaki at the moment, so this is interesting. Sasaki, I think, is still stuck behind Callum Roach, or was last time we checked anyway, and this all goes in favour of Miyazono and Dumont, who are not currently sort of stuck in this train.
So then, over the rise we go. There is Jose Serrano. Takuma Sasaki, your race leader as it stands for the time being. Dumont there in fourth place. He's got 5.5 seconds of a gap now over Takuma Miyazono. He's looking quite nice here for Dumont. Of course, he's got a slightly older, softer compound of tyre, but that should be okay for him. Don't forget, they have to run every compound of tyre in this race. They must run the hards, the mediums, and the softs. There is Jose Serrano, seeing the real tracks of Takuma Sasaki. I suppose the one advantage here for Sasaki is he's not having to punch the hole in the air in front of him. He's getting a bit of a slip through here, which might be a bit helpful.
Let's check his lap time. If he stays out, will he stay out one more lap? He does. Lap time, his last time around was a 101.4 on the slow end. This lap, a 1 minute 1.7, so okay lap time for mediums in that part of the stint. Oh, it's Sasaki almost by that curve on the outside. Every time I see that, I cringe a bit. I think how many times I've gone through there, touched that curve and gone wild by it, and we're just showing you how difficult it is to thread the needle of these cars through here. Inestrosa and Robbie Heck behind now. The second place Serrano trying to find their way through on their strategies, of course, but a lap down. So what does Serrano do in this situation? You don't want to let him by if you lose time, but you don't want to risk being lunch for one of these guys like that. And go Inestrosa, I think, either having contact with Serrano or being punted himself in the background. It's carnage. These cars are very fast around this circuit. And there's Coque Lopez now trying to find his way through. Do these guys get blue flagged or what? What's the rule here?
Yeah, well, it's under investigation. So no further action, I should say, there between Gallo and Lopez for that collision that we saw a little bit earlier on. This is just, you can feel the heart sinking for Coque Lopez here, because he's right behind these two drivers who are squabbling, quite rightly, for their own positions at the moment, and it's just costing him time. Serrano comes into the pit lane then at the end of the 21st lap. Lopez doesn't. Well, he had no choice though, did he really? I wonder if that forced his hand.
I wonder if Dumont and Miyazono sort of foresaw this. I was like, okay, you know what, we're in the box, I'm not getting involved in any of this. Interesting, that gap between Dumont and Miyazono. It was about 6 seconds when Dumont, who has just actually come back into the pit lane. So he's come off that soft compounded tyre. I think he realised that the tyre doesn't last quite as long as he wanted. Now, will we see the medium compounded tyre come on here? We do see that medium compounded tyre. Now, will we take that for 13 laps? I think it will last that long quite comfortably. Then go on to the hard tyre for the last stint.
Yeah. So, no further action there with Inestrosa versus Robbie Heck for their collision. Out on track, the stewards decided that all's fair in love and war as it stands. So, Sasaki, the only driver who hasn't made a pit stop in this race, just to remind you, he's managed to run those soft tyres, or medium tyres, I should say, 21 laps from the start of this race, which is mightily impressive, but I bet you they're going to be feeling pretty clapped out now, and he'll come to the pits, and indeed he does. That is going to release Takuma Miyazono to the lead of this race. Now, where does Sasaki go in terms of his strategy? He's been on the mediums. Does he go for the soft in the middle stint and try and run the hards right at the very end, or does he do a middle stint on the hards? He does do a middle stint on the hards. Now, how long is he going to run this for? You'd imagine one lap, one and done, then stick the softs on for the end of the race.
We have had 2 drivers on this stint, 3 drivers finally dip below the 1 minute mark. Kylian Dumont, fastest lap from him on the soft tyre in that last stint was a 59.5, so getting quite close to qualifying pace there. These guys really on it right now, and these moments of clear air for Miyazono, for Kylian Dumont, this is where the race is going to be won or lost. So right now, we look at all the gaps. Dumont's in clean air, Miyazono is out front, there's no one in front of him now. He can just drive into that with that soft compounded tyre, and we know his pace is good. He's going to want sub 1 minute laps every lap now. Qualifying pace is needed for Miyazono. He wants to win this race.
So, on board here we are with Coque Lopez. Up front there is Takuma Sasaki through that right-hander. There you go. You've got kind of Brun not too far up the road there as well. Just in front of them, I think that's a bit of black traffic once again in this race, isn't it?
Looks like it, yeah.
or is that Jose Serrano? Difficult to tell from this angle as we come down this back. You see Lopez then closing up onto the back and lunges his way to the inside for fourth place. Decisive there then for Lopez. Obviously he's on the soft competent tyre compared to Sasaki's hard, but that just goes to show you how much more grip he's got under braking.
Yeah, I mean, that was just easy move for Coque Lopez. Up into P4 now. This is Coque Lopez's favourite place. He loves the P4, does Coque Lopez. He was sort of hovering around here. Good last lap from him, 59.7. So the pace is there for the Spaniard in the X 2019. Is it enough to catch his fellow countryman? Callum Roach, though, is between them at the moment. So that might help him slingshot up to him as it is. So here are the current tyre stats so far. Miyazono has taken the medium and the soft, as have the other top four runners. A reminder, you do have to use every compound of tyre. Only person, the people who've done that so far are the bottom four, which is maybe the reason we've seen them being lapped.
So, lap 23 out of 35. Miyazono still leading this race. He's on the soft compound tyre as it stands. He's setting very fast lap times. Another 59.9. He's the only driver aside from Coque Lopez who was in the 59s last time around. But here is the man who is trying to challenge him for that victory. He's kept himself out of trouble, out of harm's way. Crucially, out of all that lap traffic drama that we saw early on as well. It's Kylian Drumont, the man who started this one on pole position, and that is going to be music to the ears of him. Look at that clear area in front of him. It's very hard to come by here at this Road Atlanta circuit, but at the moment he's lapping it up and doing a superb job. Probably the only thing I can foresee for him is he's got Valerio Gallo on the soft compound tyre behind. Both, though, roughly about the same sort of time. The fact is, Drumont last time around was a 59.8, and that is exactly the same time that Gallo was setting on the soft compound tyre.
Yeah, so I mean, you can just see the pace of these guys right now. This is basically the hot lapping part of the race. Everyone's trying a little bit of space. Everyone knows the car right now. Everyone knows what they're capable of. They just need to be putting in these quick laps. It's take an analogy from F1 as Schumacher Hungary from whatever year that was. 98. You know, it's that. You have to just get your head down and just perform, get those results. These guys are the best drivers in the world in Gran Turismo. So many of them now dipping under 1 minute for a whole lap of Road Atlanta. The pace here is unreal. 10 laps to go then here at Road Atlanta for the grand final of the Nations Cup. Kind of really right on board with him. Is he bob on for a podium? Let's find out a little bit more about the man behind the mask. No, we won't. We'll do that a little bit later on, because you can see Kai de Bruyne sitting there in second place. There is Takuma Miyazono, 3.8 seconds, 3.6 seconds now up the road. Looking pretty interesting, this one. Kai de Bruyne's catching.
He is.
He is catching. But this would be amazing for the Dutch driver. One of the youngest drivers here is Kai de Bruyne, but you wouldn't know that from his driving. Very mature driving style, very fast as well. And I think at the moment he has the pace capable of catching one of the best GT drivers in the world, Takuma Miyazono. Here is Adriano Corazza, again driving from a poor grid position, P9. He started up in P6 now, so decent comeback so far, but I just don't think he has the pace to really challenge that top 5 at the moment.
Warning triangles for some of the drivers on their rear tyres, Robbie Heck and Guy Pargra. That means that their tyres are absolutely cooked. They've got to come into the pit lane at the end of this lap. Sasaki comes into the box and off of the hard tyres on this middle stint in the race. He goes for the softs right to the very end of this one then. So Sasaki's done all 3 tyre compounds. Now he can run to the checkered flag. What about the likes of Takuma Miyazono, Kai de Bruyne, and in fact all the drivers in front of Sasaki and Drumont, actually, for that matter, as Drumont comes into the pits for his final stint in this race. Where's he going to go? Medium tyres then for him. Just comes in for a bit of fuel. By the looks of things, he's quite happy with those medium tyres. He's decided not to change them with 9 laps to go.
So just an update on some of the rules questions we asked a bit earlier on. And it's basically, if you get a blue flag, you have to get out of the way. We don't have that information, whether they've been shown blue flags or not. But you are allowed to retake or re-unlap yourself if you have the pace to do so.
So then, here is Drumont coming down through. Just sitting all on his own at the moment. Where is he in terms of his lap times? Last time around, of course, he was a little bit slower, 1:06.4, because he came into the pit. Oh, it's in the wall! Kylian Drumont's thrown it away! I don't believe it! The Frenchman coming out of the pit lane, made a pit stop for more fuel, stayed on the medium compound of tyres, and he sends it into the barrier on his outlap.
That has handed this race to Takuma Miyazono on a platter, on a massive sigh, collective sigh here in the venue in Montreal. Sad to see it end that way. Here's a replay of what happened. So we're on board with Drumont, comes onto the curb there, turns in just gets in the curve a bit too much. You just can't save it at that point. The car goes off, and Dumont will be absolutely kicking himself down there. What a way for that to end.
Such a shame for Kylian Dumont. Now, look at this. Battle for second between De Bruyne and Serrano then. Down the start-finish straight we go. Serrano's going to send it on the inside. Oh, fantastic from Jose Serrano as he takes the lead at the start of lap 28 to the delight of the crowd. Miyazono into the pits then, onto the hard compound of tyres on lap 28. Surely he's going to want to run this for as short as he possibly can. But, I mean, you're looking a bit confused with that one, JB.
Yeah, it's an odd place to take the hard tyre. I mean, you can run soft to the end here, you can run medium to the end here. To take the hard tyre, it just feels like there's a bit of a miscalculation there from Miyazono. So what I would like to see is a lovely little tyre graphic we have showing what's been run by each driver so far, so we can better understand what's going on. Here we are then. So Miyazono, yeah, he's going to go on that hard tyre. It doesn't have to stop again. I mean, you could come in again for another soft tyre, but it doesn't seem right to me. Serrano, who's currently out front, also has to box for that hard compound tyre, but on this pace he's on, if he can eat this out right to the end for the hard tyre right at the end of the race, he has a chance of winning this.
Well, every other driver in front has to run the hard compound tyre, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Kai De Bruyne there into the pit lane, so where does he go from the soft compound tyre? He goes on to the hard as well, so are they just going to run the hards to the end of this race, or are they going to try and get them off as soon as they possibly can? At the moment, it's looking okay. Kylian Dumont on the recovery after sending it into the barrier. He's had a sequence, though. He's a lap down on Coque Lopez. Lopez sitting in second place at the moment. It's a Spanish 1-2 with just 6 laps remaining. As De Bruyne comes out of the pits, he's going to be net on for a podium as it stands now here in World Series 1 in 2024. He's driven a quite superlative race. I don't want to jinx it because I know what the commentator's curse is like, but he's having a fantastic run of things so far.
Just looking at the lap times right now, what I would like to see is a lap time for Miyazono on this hard compound tyre. So we keep an eye on that because that's going to be pivotal. That pace on that hard tyre is going to decide this race for Takuma Miyazono. Right now, Serrano blistering lap times to him, low 59s from Jose Serrano. So he knows this stint counts. He knows he has to push now. Coque Lopez also putting in some decent lap times, just not quite as quick as his fellow countrymen. There is Takuma Miyazono. There is Kai De Bruyne. So that is the race for them now. They're both on hards to the end of the race. So it's going to be a straight fight. Serrano again well into the 59s. I'm still waiting for Miyazono to come to the last part of the lap to see what sort of pace he's on. What I think what he needs to be maybe is within a low 1 minute lap time. I think more than that. It's a 1 minute 0.6 for Takuma Miyazono, which is not a bad lap on that hard compound tyre, but it's 8 tenths slower than the current leader.
Yeah, Serrano and Lopez still eking it out on that soft compound tyre. You can see the rears though getting pretty second hand, to be honest with you. So I wonder whether they'll be coming in at the end of lap 30 for a new set of boots for the hard tyres to the end of this race. What does Serrano do? No, goes round again.
I would do exactly the same thing. I would that tyre for as long as possible, the hard for the less time, because he's still capable of doing these sub 1 minute laps. Every lap he's doing that, he's building that gap to Miyazono or closing it depending on the angle. We don't really know where he sits right now, which is quite an exciting thing, but again, Miyazono, yeah, about 6 to 8 tenths a lap slower at the moment. So
it's going to be close, isn't it? It's going to be
really
very close at the end of this one. I hope you're excited for this as much as we are here in the commentary box. So a Spanish 1-2 at the moment. They've both got the hard compound tyre. They've both got their final pit stops left to run in this race. There's Valerio Gallo. He's up the road in 6th position, and this has been a fantastic race from Jose Serrano, part of the Spanish team which won the Nations Cup last year, along with Paul Ura and Coque Lopez, of course. And Serrano continuing where he left off.
These guys are now to win races. They are the Spanish contingent here in the GT World Series are all massively decorated, extremely quick, extremely consistent. Musical Coque, consistency Lopez, and he comes into the bits now to, I think, come onto that hard tyre for the last part of his stint. But a good drive so far from Lopez, I think. The best he probably could have done from where he was in the grid. Got a bit caught up mid-race with some of the lapped cars there, which I think has sort of hindered his charge somewhat, but still a great drive. Again, Serrano still in under a minute on those worn tyres. What can Miyazono do?
Well, Lopez here was lapping pretty similar similar to Jose Serrano, but he's about 5 seconds or so back. So I wonder where he's going to emerge in relation to Miyazono and Kai de Bruyne. That will be the proof in the pudding for where Serrano is going to emerge. Let's have a look and see what happens. Through the first corner we go. Miyazono goes through up at the second. That's to be expected, but where is Lopez going to come out of the pit, and how far behind Miyazono, or indeed will he be behind Kai de Bruyne as we start the 32nd lap? Lopez there, 2.9 seconds away. It's going to be pretty close, but look at Serrano. He's now built that gap up to 31 seconds.
Has this been a masterclass from Serrano? He comes into the box now for his final pit stop, has to take that hard compound tyre. 32 seconds was the gap as he came into the pits. Will he get out before Miyazono crosses the line and overtakes? This is now everything for this race. These mechanics chucking on a set of the new hard Michelin tyres. Serrano exits the pit lane. Where is Takuma Miyazono on the track map? He's still going through the last chicane. There's Miyazono now. Where is Serrano? Miyazono coming around the last corner. Serrano now exiting the pit lane. Where is he? Across the line. Still waiting. Still waiting. Still waiting. There he is. It's Serrano out in front. He is. Jose Serrano out in front of Takuma Miyazono. What a stint from the Spanish driver, and now it's a straight fight between two of the quickest GT drivers in the world.
The only thing I will say, Serrano's got to get temperature into those tyres as we come through these first few corners. It's fast and flowing, and that's where Miyazono will be able to use the extra speed. He needs to go now, as soon as he can, to give Miyazono in order to be able to win this. It's Serrano versus Miyazono, Spaniard versus Japanese driver, as we come down this back straight. So Miyazono's got the advantage of the slipstream. Is he going to have a dive to the inside for the chicane? Serrano's going to be wide to that, goes to the defensive line, tries to park it on the outside. Miyazono goes for the outside line. Side by side they go, down into the chicane, and Miyazono leads at the end of lap 33. That was crucial for Miyazono. He needed to do that to take the lead away and retain his chances of victory.
This fight is going to go down to the wire. I guarantee Miyazono was shocked when he saw Serrano ahead of him there. No one would have suspected Jose Serrano to have that pace and missed it, but we should know better than that by now. This guy is a multiple winner here in the GT Life Fence World Series. Miyazono rocketing away down the hill there, using the advantage of not having to run through the dirty air, and he just needs to build a bit of a gap coming down to the straight. Already 8 tenths in that first sector. Miyazono is locked in now. Can Serrano do anything from here? Sasaki with a penalty there in P5 as well, but the battle remains up front, weaving on the straight, trying to break the draft. Can Serrano do anything to catch Miyazono?
The crowd here absolutely loving this one in Montreal, and Miyazono pulling out an advantage of 6 tenths of a second in a lap. 2 laps soon to become 1 remaining then here for Miyazono. It is now or never time for Jose Serrano as we come around the final corner here at Road Atlanta to begin the final lap for the grand final in the Nations Cup. It is advantage to Takuma Miyazono as we go through turn 1.
You have to wonder, what if Serrano stayed out one more lap on that soft tyre? Would it have mattered? Would it have counted? Who knows? We're on the last lap here, 8 tenths of seconds the lead. Miyazono just rocketing away in that first sector. I think Serrano had a mistake there. The gap over 2 seconds now, and Miyazono showing you why he's one of the most respected drivers in the Gran Turismo community. This guy putting on the clinic here. He's only got half a lap now between him and victory. Miyazono looking dominant once again.
This has been an absolutely fantastic performance from Takuma Miyazono. It looked like it had swung in the direction of Jose Serrano, but Miyazono was there. The temperature was in his tyres. He was ready to pounce. He had the initiative. He took the initiative. He took the lead of the race away. And now he comes through the final series of corners. What a commanding drive from Takuma Miyazono here in the Nations Cup as he rounds the final corner of Road Atlanta to win World Series 1 here in Montreal. Fantastic! Takuma Miyazono takes top honours. It's a double Spanish podium with Serrano leading home Coque Lopez as well. And a fantastic race for Kai de Bruyne, the Dutchman. 4th position at the checkered flag. But what a drive! He's not a triple world champion for no reason at all. That was the drive of a man who wants to get another title in 2024.
Amazing drive by Takuma Miyazono, but of course big mention to Jose Serrano. He's plus 8 positions from his starting place. He almost won this thing. That middle stint was outstanding, but you have to wonder what could have been if there wasn't all that confusion mid-race with the lapped cars, that definitely cost Coque Lopez, definitely cost Jose Serrano, definitely cost Kai de Bruyne time. Miezono was probably the only one that didn't get in the way of that one. So, but amazing racing here, and just like always, the Nations Cup comes down to the last lap. What fantastic viewing.
Let's have a look then at some highlights from that fantastic race. Takuma Miezono taking top honours, but it was Kylian Drumont who started it on pole position on the soft compound of tyre, and it looked like he was bob on for running a blinder of a strategy. We saw some great moves being made from Kai de Bruyne as he elevated himself up the order. Coque Lopez here with Sasaki as well. They had a bit of contact with one another earlier on in the race. It all got a bit messy in the mid-stint as we saw some lap cars getting involved in the action, which cost a lot of drivers crucial time at that point, and it really cost them an opportunity. But we saw some... So then, drivers lined up, ready to go on the grid for the first race here tonight in the Nations Cup. This will decide the grid for the grand final. We're in production cars at Watkins Glen for our first World Series event of the season in Montreal, Canada. The crowd are on their feet and ready to go racing, and it's Takuma Miezono in the Ferrari F50 who will line this one up on pole position. Takuma Sasaki on the front row of the grid, and the Maserati is alongside him. Then the second row headed by the Chevrolet Corvette of Kylian Drumont. Kai de Bruyne, the Dutchman, in the Ferrari F40 in fourth place. He's ahead of Valerio Gallo on row 3 in the Ford GT. Then you've got Jose Serrano in the Lexus LFA. Kilian Roach in the Mercedes-Benz McLaren SLR 7th on the grid, ahead of Coque Lopez in the Porsche 911 GT3. Angel Estrada lines up P9 in the Lamborghini Diablo, ahead of Guy Barbara in the McLaren F1. And the final row of the grid is comprised by Adriano Carrazza in the Dodge Viper, ahead of the second Ford GT. That's Robbie Heck down in 12th position. Home track for him, Watkins Glen. He'll be hoping to get a bit closer to his compatriot in 7th.
Man, these are just so cool to see this lineup of cars about to take on 7 laps of Watkins Glen. Now look out front, Miezono's out front in that F50. He, even with the rolling start, is going to be punching a hole for all the cars behind him down to that first chicane. So until he gets there, Miezono, I imagine, is going to be driving in his mirrors, and pretty much it's his to lose. If you're in mid-pack like Gallo or Serrano, actually you're going to be in the train, in the slipstream train, and you've got as better chance of anyone as moving up the field. But keep an eye out on that Viper, keep an eye out on that Ford GT as well. I was told earlier they're pretty quick in this class, so cars definitely to watch throughout the race.
So Takuma Miezono leads the field then around the final corner here at Watkins Glen. We're about to get the sprint race underway for the Nations Cup here for World Series 1 in Montreal. It is going to be Takuma Miezono leading the field across the timeline, but who will be taking the checkered flag in 7 laps time and starting on pole position for the grand final? We're about to go racing here. The Nations Cup is underway in 2024 as Miezono leads the field down to T1, followed by Sasaki and Drumont. Don't expect any dive bombs down towards the first corner. That rolling starts spreading the field out a little bit, but when it begins to bunch up in the middle part of the first lap, that's where we could see moves being made. But Miezono a little bit wide there. Sasaki having a half look to the inside into turn 2, but now he's right in the wheel tracks here of the Ferrari F50 as we come over the crest of the hill and in towards the middle sector. And Sasaki already trying to be on the attack here in the Maserati MC20. Drumont trying to follow him through as well. We're going to be attacking here with Drumont. He splits the 2. That is absolutely fantastic for Kylian Drumont. He's on the outside of Miezono and he leads into the chicane. What a start from the Frenchman. Third to first in half a lap.
Yeah, big support here for Kylian Drumont as he makes his way up into first place. Sasaki then just ran into the back of Miezono, killed his momentum, and that just allowed Kylian Drumont, who had the slipstream, just to drive on by. Meanwhile, Kai de Bruyne behind is defending hard from Valerio Gallo in that Ford GT. It is Ferrari, Ford, Lexus and McLaren SLR line astern at the moment as we come up to the boot section here at Watkins Glen. Uphill right hand to get into the inside, get into the camber, let it use that to turn the car, and now accelerate hard uphill towards the next heavy braking zone. Gallo there looking very aggressive and kind of putting a wheel on the grass. That will slow him down a little bit coming over the crest. Looks like Gallo's going to have a chance here. Looks to the inside. We know he can just make a move easy there. Gallo up the inside, up into P4, and he'll be now in pursuit of the top three in front of him.
These are the kind of races I absolutely love in Gran Turismo. The gloves will be off and it's all-out war with these drivers. It matters for where they're going to start on the grid for the grand final. Kind of Brun there, a little bit wide. Serrano looking through on the inside of the Lexus LFA. No, can't find his way past at the moment, but look at the gap the top three have got already at the end of this first lap. It's Kylian Drumont who leads the field around the final corner at the end of lap one, followed by Miyazono, followed by Sasaki.
Big moment under braking there for Sasaki. The car got all kinds of sideways, but that is a challenge of these production style cars. Not quite as stiffly sprung as the race prepared machine, so they do move around a lot under braking, and awesome to see Sasaki there just gathering back up and get back into the chase. Into lap 2 then, lap 2 7 here at Watkins Glen. We're on board now with Sasaki. He's going to be again in the tow with Miyazono. That F50 a little bit weak in a straight line compared to the cars around it, which means that Sasaki should do, if he doesn't run into the back of Miyazono this time, goes to the outside. He should have the overspeed. Miyazono's going to make it work for it. Pinches his fellow countryman there. That's a little bit cheeky there from Miyazono. Stops the move being made. What do you reckon of that, Toss?
Stewards might be able to look at that. I don't think that was entirely fair because Sasaki had to get out the throttle to avoid going onto the grass. The thing is now, you've got to keep an eye out for Valerio Gallo, this man here in the Ford GT. What he needs to hope for is that the top three start squabbling and fighting amongst one another, because that will bring this lot right back into play. At the moment, they build up such a comfortable cushion that they don't really have to be worrying about too much. But if it gets a bit unfair later on, we'll see what happens. Speaking of unfair, and speaking of moves being made, let's have a look at this from Kylian Drumont. So you can see riding on board. Oh, beautiful. Just absolute cream and almonds through the middle there, splits the two, down into the bus stop, and he's through it ahead.
That's just 100% commitment, 100% confidence. You need that to do well here at the GT World Series Nations Cup. Meanwhile, the squabble for the mid-pack continues. So that Serrano gets by Kai de Bruin, had a bit of a poor start so far, down 2 places from his qualifying position. And Gallo, unfortunately, at the head of his pack, still unable to make any headway really into Sasaki and Miyazono. So just an FYI, if you're watching for the first time, you're wondering why he's got a bump drafting down the straight. You're not allowed to do that. So you've got to do it on pace alone, as they say. So on board with Kai de Bruin in that beautiful Ferrari F40, a little bit older than some of the cars around them, but still awesome to see it going now.
And also, if you're wondering why these cars were able to race against one another, you're thinking, a car that's 20 years older than some of the other machinery, is because we've got balance of performance. It gives us the opportunity to basically allow us to have a Lexus LFA fighting with a Ferrari F40, which in the real world you wouldn't get.
I feel sorry for Kai, because all we can hear right in front of him is the LFA. He can't hear his own car.
That wailing V10.
Yeah, what a noise that makes. Meanwhile, the fight for second continues between Miyazono and Sasaki. Now, what will Miyazono do this time? Sasaki's going to try the long way around again. He'll carry more speed there, so he's gone, loses distance, carries more speed. He's in the draft of Miyazono, but not close. I'm in the background, though. The fight for 4th place is really hotting up. Serrano looks like he's got by Gallo. No, he hasn't. Gallo dives back up the inside, retains 4th position for now, and this group is very slowly starting to catch the group in front, but it's not quick enough at the moment. Fastest lap so far belongs to Kylian Drumont, who's out on his own. He's pulled away from this pack. That is very impressive in a circuit that is so dependent on slipstream.
What kind of Brun looking with a bit of hip and shoulder on the inside there of Jose Serrano. Smattering of contact between the Lexus and the Ferrari. That might allow Cullen Roach into play there as well. Coming through into the final sector we go. Serrano with a defensive tighter line. You see de Bruin there using the throttle on, off, trying to find the right application of it. He eventually has to just sit in the wheel tracks of the Lexus for the time being. But has he got enough opportunity, enough momentum to have a lunge up the inside? No. Thinks better of it for the time being, but they haven't got time on their side. They've got to be a bit careful about this, because it's going to be counting down before they know. You're already over the halfway stage.
Yeah, that F40 isn't looking too far mid-corner. He's stabbing that throttle, just trying desperately to get some rotation out of it, but just not able to do that whilst carrying any sort of tangible speed there. So this little second pack there, it's still formed of a few drivers. Coco Lopez at the back. So here's a replay. This is Sasaki and Miyazono. Was this 4th position? No, there's another bit of contact between them. Sasaki gets up the inside there on Miyazono, and makes a move up into P2. We missed that completely onto the battle, so our apologies there. But Sasaki does get by Miyazono then, finally, and now is able to chase Kylian Drummond. But I think already it's maybe a little bit too late.
Yeah, 2 seconds in, 3 laps. It's going to be a very tall order, that's for sure, for Takuma Sasaki, Valerio Gallo, Serrano, Kai de Bruyne. You could throw a blanket over these 3 drivers at the moment. They are absolutely giving no quarter at the moment. You can see de Bruyne darting out the slipstream. You can see Roach there in the background in the McLaren SLR trying to go through. Here comes Serrano. He's going to go past Valerio Gallo if he's not too careful. Down the back straight we go into the chicane. Gallo once again has track position. Does that upset Serrano's rhythm and allow de Bruyne maybe an opportunity from behind to try and attack? He's in a really unfortunate position here, is Jose Serrano. Such is the close competition that we've got. He's having to look in his mirrors whilst trying to keep an eye on what Gallo's doing in front of him.
Yeah, really strong defending there from Gallo as well, just being very assertive with the positioning of the car, saying, no, I'm going to just, it's my corner, I'm having the apex. And Serrano, through experience and through skill, I might add, just able to decipher that body language from Gallo in front and go, you know what, okay, I'll back out this time, but give it another go the next lap. But these guys are so close right now. At the back of his little pack, we spoke about it, we've got Callum Roach in the SLR McLaren and Cocaine Lopez, who is still part of this battle, but just not able to move up in this train at the moment.
So down the back straight we go in towards this tight right-hander. There's a lot of medium-speed corners on this circuit. There's not really any dive bomb opportunities in this part of the lap. You can see flicking it through the left-hander, very much one at a time, one-line corners through there, especially the elevation changes. You can see everybody running it really nicely and really clean. A lot of respectful racing going on, but no dive bombs being made. I gather, though, as we get to the final few laps of this race, that's when we're going to start seeing moves being made.
We're on board now with Callum Roach in the SLR McLaren. I love this car. I love seeing it out here and racing against a smattering of other awesome 90s and plus supercars. Great to see them all out here competing like this. If you're unfamiliar with what this race means, it is setting the position order for the race, the grand final. So if Kylian Drummond finishes first, he will be on pole position, and so on and so forth. So it's important. Any position counts here.
Certainly does. Miyazono then on the back of Takuma Sasaki through the right-hander we go, and he's really trying to challenge his compatriot now as we come down the back straight. Sasaki's pulling out of the slipstream. Look at that behind. It's like watching a darts game, isn't it? They're just throwing it through. On the inside there is Kai de Bruyne on Jose Serrano. A decisive move from the Dutchman as he goes up into 5th place, and now his next target is going to be Valerio Gallo. A little bit sideways mid-corner there for de Bruyne. Keep an eye out for that, because he's had a few mid-corner moments. Gallo has a bit of a wiggle on the exit there as well, but he's just parking that car exactly where he needs to. Was there a bit of contact there into the left-hander? I think there was.
Yeah, sideways there. Kind of a good job to gather that back up again, but I get the sneaking suspicion there's going to be quite a big accident quite soon if these guys keep going at this rate. Kai, they're really struggling. I think there might have been contact again from behind from Jose Serrano. It might have been oversteer into the corner. It's hard to tell from that cockpit angle, but Kai now, I think, really struggling to keep that F40 pointing the right way. Down the background, Cocaine Lopez out looking for a move on Callum Roach. He gets through in the Porsche. Up into P7 then goes Cocaine Lopez, and Cocaine's not really done much this race. This guy is a very decorated GT driver. Oh, Callum Roach up the inside. Big lunge there. NASCAR style move from Callum Roach, moving Cocaine Lopez off the apex up into P. Oh, who is that?
In the background, that's the Ford GT going off the track, and that is Robbie Heck, the American driver in his home race, spinning out of contention and spinning out of a good starting position for the grand final.
What a shame there, but it just shows you how close and how aggressively these guys are racing. We're going on to the penultimate lap now, so it's all to play for. Drummond seemingly going to win it at the front, but beyond that, it's anybody's game. Sasaki and Miyazono still joined at the hip as they go up through the S's once more. Then we know that the F50 that Miyazono in that awesome yellow paint is not quite as quick as Sasaki in a straight line, but using the draft is able to stay with them, and then is quicker in the corners. So unsurprisingly there, a penalty there for Jose Serrano for some contact with another car. Sasaki passing Miyazono, I think, there in the background.
Yeah, on the final lap. This is the incident which caused Robbie Heck to go plummeting down the order, so he got in a straight. Oh, he lost it on his own. He just hit the white line on the inside and then spent the next time saving it. Got it back, saved it again, got it back, ended up getting biffed there as well for good measure. Miyazono Miyazono versus Sasaki, part 3.
Miyazono up into second position, so he's overtaken Sasaki again there, just off camera. He just missed it during the replay. So now Sasaki is back in third position in the Maserati. Great fight between these two. Here is the replay. Sasaki just up the hill here, and Miyazono using the slipstream to try and get back through, but I then think just lost it again coming through here. But great images between the two here.
Yeah, brilliant racing then as we come through the final series of corners. Look at this, side by side we go. Down into the right-hander, Sasaki on the inside, Miyazono on the outside. Maserati versus Ferrari, the two Japanese drivers giving absolutely no quarter. And Sasaki is back through ahead of Miyazono with just a couple more corners now remaining. Through the left we go, and surely this one goes to Sasaki unless he makes a mistake. He runs it onto the grass, onto the curb. Is that now a bit of an opportunity ready for Miyazono to try and pound sweet flick it through the left-hander? Kylian Drumont's 5 seconds up the road. He's going to win this one. We come through the final corner. Miyazono's going to try and out-drag Sasaki, but he's not going to have the opportunity. Sasaki's very, very close as Kylian Drumont takes the checkered flag and the victory. We come across the timing line then to begin the final lap. Actually, I beg your pardon, as we head down to the first corner. So, Sasaki it is, with Miyazono very close behind.
Yeah, Drumont so far in the lead there that Tom called the end of the race. That's how it's going, but we are still going. And in that Gallo gets back through past Serrano. So Gallo up into P4, but now Sasaki and Miyazono, this is their last opportunity, and they've been scrapping the whole race. They know each other's moveset by now, but Miyazono looking to the outside, to be very brave to go around the outside here. He does, gets it done with the slipstream, which puts Sasaki now back into third place. Coque Lopez now, by the way. Oh, it's all going on down here.
Look at this. Guy Barbara, Valerio Gallo, Kai de Bruyne, Coque Lopez is up into fourth place now as well. Guy Barbara, Kai de Bruyne, and then you've got Valerio Gallo and Jono Carrazza all in the mix here as well. It's kicked off massively on this final lap, and somehow Lopez is up into fourth place. You've got lunges being made left, right and centre as we come through this left-hander into the final sector.
Yeah, Lopez lost the car there down the bottom there, so now Kai de Bruyne back in there. Miyazono is now still defending here from Sasaki. These guys are still nose to tail. It's all going on everywhere on the circuit, with Drumont seemingly going to take this victory. They're side by side coming down the bottom here. Miyazono up the inside. Sasaki's going to try the long way around. Can he make it stick? No, not quite. Miyazono ahead with only 3 corners left.
This is super close between these two. Gallo and Lopez are under investigation for a collision as well. Miyazono parks the car on the apex, blocks any opportunity there for Sasaki to try and go through. We come in towards the final series of corners. Once again, this time around it will be the checkered flag as Miyazono once again takes a defensive line and Sasaki tries to attack. Drumont will take the victory and pole position for the grand final. The Frenchman does it in commanding style at Watkins Glen. It's a drag to the line for second, and Takuma Miyazono does take second place ahead of Sasaki, but it's not over further back. Lopez then will take fourth ahead of De Bruyne, Roach, Gallo, Barbara, Carrazza and Serrano down in 10th place on the final lap. Wow, what a dramatic end to the sprint race there, JB.
That was a certified Watkins Glen moment right there. That was such good close racing with
It is time for action to begin in 2024. Manufacturers' Cup then. Here is the first grid of the 2024 Gran Turismo World Series. Starting on pole position, on home soil, at the Autodromo de Interlagos, it is Igor Fraga. Takuma Sasaki joins him on the front row of the grid with Guy Barbara in the AMG Mercedes third. Next up is former Nations Cup champion Valerio Gallo. It's an all-American third row with Robbie Heck from Mazda spearheading that, just ahead of Dean Helt in the Genesis. Genesis fresh off the back of their podium last year in the World Finals. Callum Roach lines up 7th with Alonso Regalado in the Ferrari 458 Italia in 8th position. Angelo Stroza, new challenge for him with the Subaru this year. Not working out so far, down in 9th place on the grid. Donovan Parker rounding up the top 10. Nicholas Iriagana is in 11th in the Audi R8, and then Adriano Carrazza boxed his qualifying lap in the Toyota Supra, giving himself a lot of work to do. Now, Jimmy, I'll first look at the tyres here, and we can see the top five, starting on the softs.
Yeah, unsurprising, really. If you're Igor Fraga at the head of this field, you want to try and get away as soon as possible. The worst possible thing on these opening laps is to get involved in a fight and lose time. That's how tight the margins are in these races. Towards the back of the field, of course, it's interesting to see it go down as far as 6th to 12th on that hard compounder tyre. So we're going to have two groups at the start of this race. Let's see how it pans out over the course of 30 laps.
Yeah, really keen to see what Adriano Carrazza can do. You wonder whether he may have just gone, for the soft tyre to go and get those on in the early stages, but he's decided to go for the hard, decided to go for the same strategy as everybody else around him, and let's see what he'll be able to do and what kind of progress he'll be able to make up in the field. His best hope, I'm sure, is to try and get himself to the head of the hard compound runners up into 6th place. Anyway, let's stop talking, let's start racing. We're ready to go then. 2024 Gran Turismo World Series is underway here in Montreal as we go green at the Autodromo de Interlagos. Igor Fraga leads the field across the timing line, down in towards the centre S. Sasaki in 2nd, Barbara in 3rd place. No moves being made courtesy of the rolling start, spreading that field out a little bit more. But the run through this left-hander on the run down the Retroposta could give us an opportunity to see some moves being made. Igor Fraga doesn't have the benefit of that slipstream, that hole being punched in the air in front of him, so he'll be a bit down on straight line speed, but he holds his lead for now as we come through to the left of turn 4. It's as you were at the front.
Yeah, difficult to overtake on this first lap. As you say, rolling start just spread the cars a little bit here. Now going into this middle sector, it seems that Gallo in the Honda has closed up onto the back of Guy Barbara ever so slightly, as has Barbara onto Sasaki. So the 2nd, 3rd and 4th very close right now. Already a penalty there for Ariagada. We have to think maybe for some track limits there. Carrazza up into P11. On board now with Valerio Gallo for Team Honda. Great view here of the train in front. Now it's the first lap now, just about trying to get into that rhythm as soon as possible. So any sort of weakness right now will just be magnified tenfold with the fact that the cars are all so close together. Coming now down to the last big break of the course. Now it's just all about horsepower up the hill here. Now Gallo's out, Fraga is out front. He'll be giving a tow to Sasaki, Barbara and Gallo, who we are on board with now. Let's see what these cars are like in a straight line.
So, on board we ride here then with Gallo as we come to the timing line. He's closing up to the back of Barbara. Barbara in turn is not too far away from Takuma Sasaki. Sasaki is very handy in the straight line in that Porsche. Are we going to see Gallo go for a lunge to the inside when he closes up under braking? Carrazza in at the end of the first lap, the only of the hard shot runners to do so. So I wonder if he's going to do an alternate strategy. Is he going to do a 2-stopper here potentially, Jamie? Get onto the soft tyres and then do 2 stints on them potentially.
Yeah, I'll just have a look over to his rig there and got onto the soft compound he goes. So he's just going aggressive early. Now he needs to do this. We mentioned this earlier on. He needs to find some way to insert himself in that pack out there. Now what he's done by putting himself on that soft compounder tyre and pitting now is giving himself a massive gap. You can see on the top right hand corner of your screen the track map, that last little arrow there, that's Carrazza. He's got that gap just to drive into. Hopefully, he needs to find that time. He's got to make an extra pit stop as well.
So we see Fraga controlling the field out in front. Half a second the advantage he has over Takuma Sasaki. It's not a comfortable advantage by any stretch of the imagination, but we know that Fraga soaks up the pressure like a sponge. He's doing a fantastic job, as he always does, at the helm of this field. Very rarely does he make mistakes. You can see Dean Helt there, 6th place. He's in. He's got a flashing red light next to his name. That indicates he's picked up a penalty. Whether that's for track limits or for contact, I don't know. I would assume track limits, given the fact we've not seen any other graphics flashing up on the screen indicating that he's got himself into some strife.
The red marker will do that one. Then we'll see that next to your name. Meanwhile, Gallo pretty much pushing Guy Barbara along on the straight here, already up the inside there. Now, who has the most horsepower? That AMG is quick in a straight line. As soon as Gallo pulled out on the slipstream there, the car just fell away from him. So this could be a challenge for Gallo. Looks to the inside, late on the brakes, goes Valerio Gallo, dives up the inside there, parks it on the apex, defends the corner, up to third goes Valerio Gallo. That is the move of someone who's done that many times before.
Yeah, these guys have raced each other, of course, in the online season, but also they've been racing for a good number of years before that, so they know instinctively how the other driver is going to behave. You just get a set of sort of sixth sense almost, and Gallo sending into the inside there, clean, decisive and clear. He needs to now be careful to not get involved in a squabble with Barbara if Barbara tries to retaliate, because it will allow Sasaki and Fraga to clear off into the sunset, essentially.
And these guys, they are going to be looking back now, Fraga and Sasaki. They're going to realise that there has been a change. The fight at the back of the field at the moment is absolutely fantastic, by the way. We don't have a lot of screens, but 8th, 9th and 10th having a fantastic scrap. We'll stay with Gallo for now, though, at the moment in this third group. Now, the question really remains is, can he now take the gap down between him and Sasaki? I think he's got the pace at the moment.
I think you're absolutely right, and as you say, that score going on further down the order that we were talking about there, that's Dean Howard. He served his penalty last lap, as we saw that flashing red light next to his name, and now he's involved in a squabble with Regalado in Estrozo and also Donovan Parker in the mix there as well. Sasaki now beginning to close up, and Gallo bringing himself back into the rhythm, so the 2 becomes a 3 as they come out of that final corner and aim it for the time in line. Lap 3 out of 20 about to begin. Lap 4 we are. Fraga still soaking up that pressure at the moment from Sasaki. Now you wonder whether Sasaki might try and do an undercut here to get himself past Igor Fraga, go for a lap longer on the softs, but Sasaki a lot of closing speed on the brakes into that first corner. Little bit of a warning sign. You can see further back you've got Robbie Heck now coming under some pressure as well from Guy Barbara, who's dropped back behind the Mazda driver. So it's not been a good couple of laps here for Guy Barbara as he now pops himself into the slipstream on the Mazda. Down the Retro Aposta we go. In front, we're side by side almost there as Sasaki and Gallo were going pretty much wheel to wheel into turn 4.
That was clever there from Guy Barbara. He could have fought that more and lost more time, but I think he knows the guys in front have the pace over him, so he's basically going to get dragged along, and they're going to keep this pack of 5 cars together, which is important for everyone's racing. Now Gallo has moved right up onto the back of Sasaki after Sasaki's half move on Igor Fraga. He said he might try and undercut him, nearly just moved him into T1 there, so the stewards will have a keen eye on the racing here today. Now, through this middle section, it feels so slow compared to the rest of the circuit. You've got to be patient on that frontal pedal coming out of it, otherwise you start burning those rear tyres, and these soft tyres, they're pretty susceptible to wheel spin. If you get those spinning, you heat them up, and you can't really get them back into the window where they once were. So tyre management is crucial here, but you wouldn't believe it from the way these guys are driving.
Just having a look there, Alonso Regalado picking up a warning for bump driving. That means he's sort of pushing Caleb Roach along in 6th position, and the stewards don't like that sort of thing. Also, further back, I'm looking at the gap that Karatza had. It was 9 seconds a couple of laps ago. It's now down to 6 seconds. He, of course, is on a quicker combat tyre. He's lapping some 2 seconds faster as Gallo has a half look to the outside there of Sasaki into the first corner. But keep an eye out for that gap with Karatza and Arriagada at the moment. That'll be crucial coming into the latter stages of the race, because he's still got to run that hard combat tyre. My bet is he'll try and do 2 stints now. Actually, he's done the hard combat tyre. He did that on the first lap, but he's got to try and make up that deficit because he's doing an extra pit stop. So we'll see how it's all going to work out. Let's have a look here further back. This is Dean Held. We're on board here with Donovan Parker. He just has a little bit of contact there with Angel and Estroza as they go side by side down the start-finish straight. Parker's got the outside line. He's got track position down into T1. He goes up into 8th place. So there's a great nose-to-tail battle going on the fringe of the top 10. And this is all for those important points.
Yeah, as mentioned before, we've sort of got 2 groups running that will come back together when these strategies all converge towards the end of the race. To give you some idea of how that soft tyre is comparing to the hard tyre right now, Karatza has gained about 4 seconds on the car in front since he pitted on that alternative strategy. Karatza down in 12th place for Team Toyota right now. Meanwhile, going back to the action now, Robbie Heck at the moment, the person we were on board with, just ahead of us right now with Guy Barbara. Heck has the fastest lap of anyone in that Mazda, so there is speed in that Mazda, it seems. It's not quite over the course of 1 lap, but all 5 cars still within about a second and a half of each other, so this race is anyone's at this point. Fraga doing, as you said before, a really great job of just sort of driving them around, keeping them there. Meanwhile, Sasaki having to go defensive from Gallo. Gallo looking around the outside now in the NSX. Can he make this stick? Trying the long way around to be on the inside though for this right-hander. It's getting very tight as we go through here. Now Sasaki has the alternative line on the inside and just about stays ahead for now. Look at the gap that's given Fraga instantly.
The problem with Sasaki is he's tighter onto that left-hander. It's compromised his run down this Retroposta. He goes for the defensive line, but Gallo's going to pull to the outside here. Sasaki moving over in the braking zone. The stewards are not going to like the look of that. Parks in on the apex of the corner. Again, this is going to compromise his run. Gallo pulls to the inside there as he challenges for second. As we come down into the right-hander, Sasaki's going to have track position here. Is he going to muscle out Gallo as Gallo tries to firm it around the outside in the Honda NSX? Surely Gallo's not going to be able to make this stick, and indeed he can't. Sasaki parks the car on the apex, tries to get the over and under, switching back on the inside. This is fantastic racing between these two drivers, and Sasaki defending. Gallo tries to send it to the inside, but Sasaki is still there, ready and waiting, and all the while they're doing this, Fraga's clearing off out in front.
That was some amazing racing there between Porsche and Honda. Sasaki and Gallo respectively, just showing that you can go wheel to wheel and not have contact. I mean, take note of that F1 at some point if you want to. So, going up the hill now to come on to lap 7 of this race here at Interlagos. And Gallo's going to have another look. He's now desperate to get by. He knows he is faster at this stage. Here we are again, back in the draft, back in the slipstream, down towards T1. Will he go outside again? He's trying the outside line once again. I don't think he's quite as close as he was. He's going to try and cut back in. I think what he's trying to do is just put Sasaki off his line a little bit through his complex and get a better run coming down the second straight here, but not quite as close as before. But as you said, all that going on, all those overtake opportunities means that Igor Fraga has now got a little bit of breathing room out front.
Keep an eye out for Guy Barber and Robbie Heck in the background as well. We can talk from a two-way to a potential four-way fight here as well as they come through the left-hander. That's the trophy these drivers all want to lay their hands on at the end of the season. Just a reminder of the competition format. We've got 12 drivers here. We'll have another new 12 drivers going into Prague later on this year, and then for Tokyo likewise the same thing. All three of those drivers for that specific manufacturer will come together as a team of 3, and then we'll have the grand finals taking place later on this season. As we've seen Iriagana, they're just picking up a warning for colliding with another car. Fraga, 1.3 seconds. The gap has kind of stabilised out in front. Karatsa, meanwhile, right at the back of the field. He's closed right up to within half a second of Donovan Parker, courtesy of those soft tyres.
That's actually a bit of a disaster for Karatsa, because now he's back where he started, trying to get through the cars on the slower compounded tyres, but burning his soft tyre at the same time. Saying that, he goes up into P11. So we'll keep an eye on Karatsa down in P11.
2 seconds faster per lap, though, is Karatsa at the moment. So you imagine he's going to try and make easy work of those drivers in front. But the thing is, like you say, you've still got to run a slower lap time because you're working your way through traffic.
It just depends where you catch him. If you get him on the corner exit, lovely. But if you're trying to catch him for the middle sector where everyone is on one line, you're just wasting the life of that soft compounder tyre, and it can really come back to haunt you as the race goes on. Now, the gap to the front, I'd say that Fraga isn't actually the quickest of this pack at the moment. I'd say he is quite the quickest of the 3. Now, here's a replay. Here is Heck and Barbara going down towards T1. What happens here?
Down into the breakdown. Sasaki versus
Gallo again.
Yeah, and then Heck versus Barbara. Barbara tried to send it to the inside. Heck said, no way, and I'm going to hold on to 4th place. We see Barbara right on that rear wing. Heck a little bit wide. Wasn't smashing in contact maybe through the second part of that corner. They ran side by side down this back straight, and is Heck going to be able to get the advantage with Barbara on the outside there? Barbara's got the inside line. Does he run it a bit deep? Yeah, he does, and Heck is just going to try and close up, but Barbara does manage to get himself back into 4th place eventually.
So that was going on while we had that awesome battle with Sasaki and Gallo. So I think nice to go back and see that. We can't unfortunately look at 2 things at the same time. Of course, we try our best, but the gap is coming down in the front, down to a second now. So there is speed in this pack. I get the impression that maybe Igor is just sort of controlling this a little bit, maybe just saving the tyres, saving the fuel, taking it nice and easy. Iriagana there does pick up a penalty. So yeah, unfortunately for him, things go from bad to worse. Karatsa getting a warning for colliding with another car. How often have we seen that on our screen?
Yeah, he's not afraid of getting his elbows out, is Ezra, like Karatsa. The thing is, like you say, he's a mine in that pack at the moment. He's going to make his way through the traffic if he's hitting the traffic at the wrong time. Even the fact that closing speed might just be that little bit closer as well. As we sit on board here with Valerio Gallo, he's got box office seats to the battle in front with Takuma Sasaki and Igor Fraga. The gap has now come down. It's under a second, so Sasaki's going to be back into slipstreaming range at this point now. And of course, Fraga doesn't have the whole big punch in the air in front of him.
Yeah, everyone on the soft compounder tyre was quicker than Igor Fraga on that lap, actually. Apart from Garazza, who got caught in traffic. His last lap time, Garazza on the soft tyre, 32.1. All these guys are doing 31.0s. So that's the difference, just trying to get through that traffic there. But again, we'll keep an eye on it. So still aboard with Valerio Gallo. He's just a bit quicker for his midsection. I don't know if he's burning the tyre more. I don't know if his car is better suited to this circuit than the Porsche in front of him. He just seems to have that little bit more pace at the moment, but there's just nowhere to go, nowhere to use it.
Well, we'll see what happens here for Valerio Gallo. At the moment, he's driving a really good race because he's in that unfortunate position of having to attack and defend at the same time. So keep an eye on his mirrors of Guy Barbara behind, but also doesn't want to let Takuma Sasaki get too far out in front. At the moment, you can see the gap now visibly coming down for the race lead here with Igor Fraga, half a second. So has he pushed his tyres that little bit too hard too soon? You can look at the front tyres on that Lexus down to 18%, so he's going to have no grip left. Is he going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap to get those soft tyres off? He is. Fraga boxes early at the end of lap 9. That is a bit of a surprise. We're kind of getting to the pit window. You can see another couple of other drivers following him through there. They want to stay as part of that pack, but crucially, Sasaki and Barbara feel okay with their car so far. They're carrying on.
They go onto soft as well, so they're going for the two-stop strategy. You have to use both compounder tyres, so that's interesting to see that there as we come on now out of the pit lane. Now, as they've gone onto the soft compounder tyre, this overcut from Sasaki I don't think is going to work. These guys are going to be a little bit quicker, well they should be anyway, on their out lap than Sasaki is now, but it'll be interesting to see what the Porsche driver can do in clear air, because as we said, they all moved up to the back, but I'm really surprised by the tyre wear on that Lexus. That was awful compared to the cars around it.
I'll tell you who that might scupper as well as Adriano Garazza. We wondered if he was doing a bold, different strategy going for a two-stopper in that race, but if everyone else is doing the same, it kind of negates that advantage, doesn't it?
I think it'll be a free-stopper for him in the end. I think he has to do that. So, but that all starting with 1 second qualifying just shows you how close it is here in the World Series Manufacturers Cup. 10 laps on the board, 20 to go. We're looking at Igor Fraga, who we believe will be our leader once all is said and done. Sasaki and Guy Barbara opting to stay out for one more lap on their soft tyres. We'll see if they come in now. Barbara actually benefiting, I think, from the tow from Sasaki. I mean, at the moment, these top 5 cars are really not separated by anything. It's anybody's game. We always see these guys now peel into the pit lane. Sasaki goes for one more lap, and Guy Barbara dives into the pit lane. So, do you think we're going to see a one-stop attempt for Sasaki?
You see Dean Helm there as well. He's picked up a penalty. He's gone from bad to worse for Genesis, down in 12th position at the moment. Into the pits then comes Guy Barbara. So soft again, like the others around him. And he, as you said, has gone for one lap longer. The advantage to that is that he's going to have one lap fresher tyres when everybody else comes into box.
See where he comes out then. You can see the mini-map. Here comes Fraga, here comes Gallo. Barbara is just the other side of that barrier at the moment. Fraga comes out just ahead then of the Australian driver. There is Gallo, Heck there behind. Where has Barbara come out? Oh, he's behind the pack there. So that was definitely the worst decision there to stay out on that tyre. But he is still, importantly, within that slipstream range. And if you're still there, if you're still within the range of that tow, you're still pretty much there in that pack. Now, Garazza's coming in. The first person to stop goes for his second stop onto a fresh set of those soft tyres. Parker coming off the hard tyre onto the soft as well. So the race starting to get into the strategic elements now. We'll try and keep track of all these pit stops here up on the desk.
Just having a look at the sector times there between Sasaki and Fraga, just to give you an idea of the difference as well. Sasaki 23.1 in sector 1, Fraga 22.7, half a second there and thereabouts quicker than the man in second place who's on the fresher soft compound tyres.
And again, the quickest man on circuit right now is Robbie Heck in that Mazda. He is the fastest first sector of anyone, saying that though Igor Fraga has just done the fastest middle sector of anyone. Will Sasaki stay out again?
Nearly 9/10 of a second faster in that second sector was Igor Fraga. He's chomping into that lead as Sasaki then comes into the pit lane then. Where's he going to go in terms of strategy? Is he going to diverge compared to his colleagues around him? I don't think he's going to have the opportunity to do so. If he does, it's going to really cost him quite dearly indeed. Soft tyres onto soft tyres, but crucially, where's he going to emerge in relation to those other 4 drivers?
So why would he go on to soft tyres a couple of laps later? You're probably asking. Now this buys him basically a couple more laps on the soft at the end of the race compared to others who will likely have to go to the hards earlier. So let's see. Igor Fraga then leads the race from Valerio Gallo. Where is Sasaki? He comes out, it looks like, behind Guy Barbara. So after all that, Porsche down from second to 5th position. But it's a long race yet, and I think this is a strategic call for the end of the race. But for now, down to P5.
2 laps newer tyres as well he'll have at the end of this stint, which could prove to pay dividends for him. So he might be playing the long game here to Kimi Sasaki, just to try and see whether it works to give him an advantage later on in the race. Meanwhile, further back, Caleb Roach there with Alonso Regalado, Angel Enestrosa for company as they come and flick it through that right hand. You can see Regalado in the Ferrari 458. It's not been a particularly happy hunting ground for him here so far as he flicks it through. He's keeping an eye out for that mirror full of Angel Enestrosa at the moment in the Subaru Impreza, the Subaru, I should say BRZ, which hasn't particularly been a happy debut for him in that car so far.
Well, I've not seen much of these guys yet. We've been focusing on the pack at the front, but these guys will become a bit more relevant as the race goes on. So it's Roach, Regalado and Enestrosa. As we said before, that Subaru has always been a fairly decent bet if you want to try and predict who's going to win that, of course. Right now it's down in 8th position. Let's look at the tyre life. Very, very good on its rear tyres is that Subaru. I think it's owing to the fact it's a little bit lighter, the cars around it, but you can see now the downside to it being lighter. It also has less power and just being pulled away from by Regalado and by Roach. Regalado goes to the inside then of the American driver. Can you get the move made into T1? Roach very, very late on the brakes there, keeping Regalado on the alternative line. Now a little bit of him, so here comes Enestrosa sideways as Roach gathers it up. Is Enestrosa going to go around all of them? He's there side by side now, but he's not quite got the power of the BMW as we go now down towards the left-hander. Can he make the move stick? No, I think he's stuck on the inside. Regalado looking there as well. 3 wide into the corner down the bottom. Oh my word, they're still haven't finished, Tom.
No, they're still going on for it. I wonder if the stewards might be able to look at Caleb Roach there, because he was pretty aggressive on Regalado through that first corner. There was a bit of contact. He just shut the line off. Enestrosa, though, is on the inside now of Regalado as we come up the rise, and he's got the position back ahead of the Peruvian driver. Has a half look there at Roach, but no room at the inn for now as we come running down the hill. No sail action. These are the hard compound runners, so the race is going to come to them a little bit later on. They're doing the worst stint that they have to do in this race early on. They're going to get that out of the way, and then the race will come to them when they've got those soft competent tyres. Will this be a strategy that works out? The problem is, while they're battling amongst one another, they're costing themselves time. So it's costing them time later, effectively, in the race.
I couldn't say it better myself. I mean, we'd love to see a battle here, of course. It's the best part of watching any of these races, but for their actual races themselves, it does cost them time. And again, you're seeing the difference between the cars here. Enestrosa so fast in the middle, but then can do nothing to defend on the straight. Here comes Regalado, but I imagine Enestrosa's going to try and outbrake him down towards T1. Regalado does move ahead on the outside. Enestrosa holds him though there. Regalado has the inside line. Will there be any more contact? We saw last lap. No, Enestrosa does hold him there for now, but watch him. He'll be a sitting duck down the straight.
Yeah, that Subaru, as we know, not the fastest car in a straight line. Enestrosa knows that goes for the defensive line then. Regalado in the Ferrari 458. Powering his way to the outside. Is he powering his way up into 6th place? Well, Regalado isn't able to get ahead as Enestrosa defends the inside line, but it's a great run through the second part of that corner, and Enestrosa knows that. All the while, up in front, you've got Roach clearing off a second off into the distance. Side by side we go. Regalado on the outside, Enestrosa on the inside. Fantastic racing here between these two, and it is Enestrosa who manages to retain the position ahead of Regalado for now.
If we're doing so, they're just hemorrhaging time to the cars around them at the moment. It's great for Roach, as mentioned before. He gets a little bit of breathing with the gap now up to 1 second as Regalado again trying to find a way past the BRZ in the mid-sector. You're not going to find somewhere there for that car. Interestingly, up in the 3rd position, we've had a change of position. Guy Barber taking the place away from Robbie Hegg, and both of them have really fallen down away from Gallo and Fraga. 3 seconds now is the gap between 3rd and 2nd, so it looks like it's now turned into a 2-horse race at the front between 2 former Nations Cup champions. These 2 drivers are 2 of the fastest Gran Turismo drivers we have ever seen, and halfway through the race they're separated by 7/10 of a second, with seemingly Gallo, the chasing driver, a little bit quicker at this stage. Gallo also currently holding the fastest lap of the race, the only man to go underneath 1 minute 30, 1:29.8 the lap from Gallo that has him the fastest lap at the moment.
So Gallo there closing up onto the back. It's become a 2-way scrap out in front in this race. Barbara, though, still with Heck breathing down the back of his neck at the moment as they come through the right-hander. Barbara's not going to do anything too rash in terms of his defensive lines through there at the moment, but these three running nose to tail. It's upset Sasaki's race. As we look here at Barbara, this is the move. Did Heck make a mistake going through the left-hander? It looks like he made a mistake the corner before it. He got himself all out of shape, ran it onto the curb there into the left, and that allowed Guy Barbara to go through, as he said, thanks very much, and got up onto the podium.
I think he's heated those rear tyres up a little bit, Tom. Now, we mentioned that a bit earlier on. He just seems he's having real trouble getting the traction down in that matter. Let's watch him again through here. Let's see how he manages the exit this time. We get a nice view from Sasaki there, who actually I think is the biggest victim of all of these guys, choosing to box a couple laps later. Now he's stuck here. He's stuck about 4-5 seconds off the lead, where before he was fighting for it. Now right into the toe again, right into the slipstream, looking around. What's that Porsche like in a straight line? Not quite quick enough to the alongside. Will we see a late dive? Both of them moving in the braking zone there. Sasaki looking at the inside. Will Heck defend? He's got by him there. Heck now has the inside line. Will he drive to the curb? No. Straight around the outside goes Sasaki. That was a confident move, Tom.
Love that from Takuma Sasaki, and he needs to do that because he can see his chances of victory slipping through his fingers. He wants to get onto the podium, wants to get those points back as well, does Takuma Sasaki. 4 points awarded for third place, 3 points awarded for fourth place, and that could be critical at the end of the season. Inestrosa off the hard tyres, finally for him, goes onto the soft compound of tyres. Where's he going to emerge? There's Dean Helt just to his right hand side in the Genesis. Helt, of course, on an alternative strategy, so will it give Inestrosa a little bit of clear air if he's able to get himself ahead of the Genesis driver? That will be the best case scenario for the Chilean.
I think honestly for Subaru and Inestrosa, this race could have gone a bit better for those guys so far. They've been caught up in a lot of battles. The pace hasn't been that good on the hard compound of tyres. It's going to really take a lot to catch these guys in the front. The pace in the front now is fantastic. A 30.2 last lap from Gallo, 30.4 last lap from Igor Fraga, faster than anyone else in the field at the moment. And I've got a feeling we're going to have a showdown here very soon between these two titans, Lexus and Honda. Fraga and Gallo, as we come on now to lap 17 of 30. We're in the tow on board with Valerio Gallo, who actually interestingly pulls out of the tow there. Now why would he do that?
I wonder if he's just trying to keep his powder dry for now, just not wanting to show his cars too soon. Sure, he could go for a lunge on the inside, but he could also cost himself a lot more than he's set to gain there. Just for a snap of oversteer mid-corner for the Honda driver. So he's certainly pushing on. He's not like he's driving well within his limits, but yeah, I just wonder if he's just waiting for the right opportunity to strike later in the race, maybe.
Yeah, he lost a chunk of time there, about half a second there to Fraga through T1, so that just shows you one mistake cost you quite a bit of time there.
Takuma Sasaki there needs a little bit of a booster cushion, doesn't he? You can barely see the steering wheel from that camera angle at the moment.
As a fellow short king, don't be calling it out like that, alright? Don't be calling it out.
To be fair, I was waiting for you to make a reference to that. It was only a matter of time, wasn't it? Takuma Sasaki then, right in the wheel tracks here of Guy Barbara, over the rise. And the thing is, Sasaki will know that he's had an opportunity of victory, and he doesn't want to let that slip through his fingers. Maybe a podium is the best opportunity, but he'll still be angrier than a mosquito in a mannequin factory if he's not able to maximise the potential for Porsche here this afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, he's just being held up by Guy Barbara. Now, the question really remains, one, can he get by Guy Barbara? I think he can. I think he's got the pace. I think he's got the racecraft to make that move if he can get there. But then, can he then move on to the back of Gallo and Fraga? The gap between them now is a good 4 seconds between Sasaki and Igor Fraga, the leader. Now, interesting, look at the tyres here. Gallo has really pushed on this stint. Those rear tyres looking pretty second hand, and we did see him have a couple of the slides. That is only going to get worse.
Sasaki then pulls to the inside here of Guy Barbara. Does he make the move this time around? Down the start finish straight we go, into the centre edge, decisive, clean and confident from Takuma Sasaki as he elevates himself now back up once again onto the podium here for Tag Heuer Porsche. Now, does Guy Barbara have anything left in his locker to try and retaliate out of turn 3? A flash of the lights to try and distract Sasaki in the mirror, but Sasaki's got trap position, he's got more grip underneath him, and he's got third place as we head down into the left-hander of turn 4 as well. So now, next target, close the gap down to the leaders.
Yeah, Sasaki now has got to use his pace he has. He cannot afford to fight with Guy Barbara at all. He's already lost a chunk of time. The gap is down to 3.2 seconds at the moment, so we're getting quicker, but still a little way to go.
0.3 of a second faster was Sasaki on that lap last time around than Gallo and Fraga as well. So that is just the sort of carrot that Sasaki needs dangled in front of him at the moment. It is not over for Porsche and for Takuma Sasaki. Up through into the right hander we go, and you can see him visibly there. A lot of confidence and a lot of pace and this is going to really come to him, I'm sure, at the latter stages of this one.
Yeah, like a cork in a bottle there, he's really turned up the quick. Already, through that middle sector, he was nearly half a second faster than Igor Fraga, so I don't think this race is over yet for Sasaki and Team Porsche. We've seen Gallo struggling on tyres, we've seen Fraga doesn't quite have the ultimate pace, so this is still far from over. Coming on to lap 19 there, Igor Fraga leading by only 0.3 of a second from this man, Valerio Gallo in Honda. Robbie Heck coming into the pits there fairly early for that second stop there for Team Mazda.
We saw him spinning up his rear tyres a few laps ago, didn't we? So if he's only into those tyres, he's used up the best of its life, then there's a good possibility that it's just high on tyre wear at this particular circuit, that Mazda. So maybe Robbie Heck's chance of a podium, maybe even a top 5 potentially off the card, because Karatza's closed right up. He's in 6th place now. He's chopped off that gap by about 5 seconds over the last 5 laps as well. So Karatza on an absolute charge as things stand.
Bear in mind, if Sasaki in 3rd place can get onto the back of these guys for 1st and 2nd, he has effectively tyres that are a couple of laps younger than the rest of the field, meaning that he'll have to spend a little bit less time on that hard compound of tyre. So something to think about, but also at this point, these two here are just losing time, hand over fist to Sasaki behind. The gap now down to 2.9 seconds. I think now Valerio Gallo is aware of it. He said, you know what, okay, I'm being caught by the car behind. I can no longer stay here and wait behind Igor Fraga, who is playing the game. He's getting a little bit slower there on to the last corner. He's trying to back up Gallo in the NSX, but these guys have been racing together for a very long time. They know each other's moves at this point. They know the strengths and weaknesses of the manufacturers they represent. Will we see a move then down in towards T1? They're both coming into the pits actually, so at this point they're going nose to tail into the pits, so it's going to be a straight fight to the end of the race, both onto the hard tyre.
Yeah, I imagine so. Let's see what happens as they come into the box then. Fraga in first, of course, just up the road from Gallo. They're going soft, so they're going to try and do 1 lap on the hard tyre. There's no minimum tyre time. They only have to do a minimum of 1 lap on it. So I wonder whether they're going to make a final stop in this race and try and run that hard tyre for as short as they possibly can. Either way, this is music to the ears of Takuma Sasaki, because it's released those 2 cars out in front. That means he's now in clear air with pace underneath him. He can just make hay whilst the sun shines, run his strategy and hope that this race comes to him in the latter stages, especially given how fast he's been.
I don't know if this is the right move for Gallo, going onto that hard compound of time. And this guy, he knows better than I do for sure at this point, but I just don't see that working. Bear in mind though, of course, because as you can see there, the history graph of our tyres being used, you have to use both compounder tyres. So Sasaki, Barbara, Fraga as well, and Heck all need to make 1 more stop. At least Gallo, to his credit, doesn't have to stop again. So the question is, can Fraga open up a pit stop's worth of gap in 10 laps?
Well, time will tell. 10 laps left to run here in this grand final for the Manufacturers' Cup. Sasaki it is that leads, then Guy Barbara in 2nd. Then you've got Gallo just behind Igor Fraga. I said just behind. That gap has increased quite a fair bit actually over the course of this outlap, given the fact that they were pretty much nose to tail and you couldn't separate them as they came into the pit lane. It's a much sort of more prominent gap now between those two, as to be expected, because Gallo, of course, is on that hard compound tyre. Now, Guy Barbara comes into the pit lane at the end of lap 20. Where's he going to go in terms of strategy? Is he going to go soft, or is he going to go for put a hard on? Let's see as we come into the pit lane then. Hard tyres then for Guy Barbara as he exits out of the pits here at the Autodromo de Interlagos. Now, where is he going to emerge in relation to the likes of Fraga and Gallo around him? There is Sasaki, he's away up the road, running nice clear air, nice clean lap times as well, 1:31.2. So those tyres now beginning to fall off a cliff, as you can see them coming to the end of their useful shelf life. Barbara onto the hard tyres for what we're expecting to be his last stint in this race.
31.2 isn't terrible. It isn't great, but it isn't terrible. So there is still a little bit of life in that tyre there, but I just wonder how much longer he's going to go, because now it's the gap between himself and Fraga. They both need to use they both need to use a hard compound tyre. So this, I guess, is the gap unless Sasaki wants to pit again. So maybe Sasaki's played a masterclass here.
Well, let's wait and find out as we come down the back straight, or down the hill I should say rather, and then we get to run for the rise up to the timing line. Sasaki doing a good job, but I dare say he's probably going to be coming into the pits at the end of this lap. We saw him go a lap longer than his fellow competitors in the first stint of this race, and Sasaki, as he comes through, does not come into the pit lane at the end of lap 21, so he's just quite happy to carry on. 31.2 for him last time around. Comes to time now 31.5, so about 0.3 of a second slower. Now those tyres are beginning to go off, but he's running okay so far.
I'm just keeping an eye on the lap times for those who've opted to go to that hard compounded tyre. We're going to get one from Gallo very soon, coming across the start finish line. He's on 32.4, which is a second, give or take, slower than Sasaki in first. So I really think going to that hard tyre early, wasn't it? I think it's the sort of typical game of the hard tyre is lava here, trying to avoid. Anyway, here's a replay between Heck and Gallo. I think this is Heck managing to... This is the difference between the tyres here. Look, so much more apex speed there. Heck goes up the inside and go like it's just nothing. And Gallo down into 4th position. So those are the stop tyres right now. They do have to stop again, but Gallo is losing just a ton of time each lap here.
More expecting the pit stop loss time to be about 11 seconds, something along the lines of that. What's Fraga got now? He's got about 6.5 seconds, I would say, there and thereabouts. He's probably got over Valerio Gallo at this stage. He needs to really build on that. How much clear air has he got? 7 seconds up the road in front, so he's doing all right as it stands there is Igor Fraga. But as you say, Jimmy, he's got to run that final competitive time, and that's barring any mistakes. Not that we usually see them from Igor Fraga, but stranger things have happened. There's a lot of pressure in these events. You see Sasaki's front tyres going to be crying out for mercy at the sharp end of this race. Surely he's going to have to come into the pits at the end of lap 22.
This is one of his races again, where it's a bit of a slow burn in the middle, all comes alive at the end. As I can see the gaps now starting to come down around the field. Here is Valerio Gallo. He'll be wondering whether he made that right choice going onto that hard compounded tyre. Only time will tell. Sasaki still out front. His lap time of 31.6. Igor Fraga's last lap time of 1:29.6. Easily the fastest lap of the race. Igor Fraga is charging right now in second place for Team Lexus, taken nearly 2 seconds out of Sasaki on that lap alone. So, but he needs to do this. He needs to bring this gap down as much as possible before they both go into that hard compounded tyre and it just turns into a straight fight. So Fraga's got the tyre life, why not just go and burn it?
Well, he needs to extend the advantage over Valerio Gallo as well, because of course Fraga's going to be on the hard compounded tyre. Gallo will have been on that compounded tyre for quite a while, but he needs to make sure that Gallo doesn't leapfrog him when Fraga makes his final pit stop in this race. There is Sasaki. Surely, again, I've said that for the last 3 laps, he's going to come into the pit lane for this one, but he seems to be quite calm and confident. 1:31.6 for him last round, so getting gradually slower is the Japanese driver, but nothing doing for him at the moment. What's it down to? 5.5 seconds. It was 7 seconds a couple of laps ago, the gap between Sasaki and Fraga. So I wonder, is this race beginning to fall away from the Japanese driver? Is it coming back into the favour of Igor Fraga in the Lexus? Into the pit lane finally then comes Takuma Sasaki. He had to do that. If he went on for another lap, he would have really cost himself a fair bit of time. So he's going to go on to the hard competitive tyre for the final stint in this race is Takuma Sasaki then, and let's see how this is going to play out for him in the Porsche. Fraga is going to go through into the lead, but of course don't forget he's got one more pit stop left to run. Hard tyres then do indeed go on for Sasaki. Out of the pit lane we go. Where is the Japanese driver going to emerge though? He's behind Fraga, but how far behind? That's the question, because Fraga needs another pit stop over him.
But as he come out ahead of Valerio Gallo, that'll be massive for Sasaki if he has, because then that's just again a fight to the end. Here is Sasaki. Where is Gallo? There he is then, side by side. Gallo goes through up into 3rd position. That is a disaster for Sasaki. So Valerio Gallo did barely enough there to hold that position, and now it's these two charging forward. These guys cannot afford to fight whatsoever if they want any chance of catching Fraga when he eventually boxes for that hard compounded tyre. Now him and both Robbie Heck in front, you can see they both are yet to take that soft compounded tyre, but Sasaki is not waiting around, almost pushing Gallo through that middle sector. I don't know, it's a hard one this. If you have the pace, you want to use the pace, but at the same time, if you're fighting that we saw earlier on, you just end up hemorrhaging time. And Gallo there you see struggling with the rear traction of the NSX. And we come down now into a heavy braking zone, left hand to him before we go up the hill. What sort of power does this Porsche have compared to the NSX sideways on exit?
Yeah, sideways there for Sasaki. That's going to cost him a 1/10 of a second or 2. Gallo, of course, does not have the advantage of the slipstream like Sasaki has. We know that Porsche is pretty handy in a straight line. This is absolutely critical for Takuma Sasaki if he wants to take the victory here tonight in the Manufacturers' Cup. He needs to dispose of Valerio Gallo pretty promptly. Down the start finish straight we go into the first corner. Backs off of the throttle. He's going to try and get a lunge and a run down into turn 4. Just wants to sit in the wheel tracks of the Tag Heuer Porsche at the moment. Of the Honda at the moment, I should say.
So here we go then. Go down towards T4 again. Look from the view of the rear spoiler of Gallo, that Porsche menacing in the mirrors for Valerio Gallo, but cool head on the Italian shoulders as we come now through to the middle sector once again. Time running out for Igor Fraga. So the gap now between the leaders and this second contingent of runners on the hard compound tyre is now 11 seconds. I wonder if Fraga has done enough. We'll have to wait and see. I'd love to see the tyres on Fraga's car, how they're holding up right now, but these guys right now just separated by virtually nothing. Sasaki again pushing Gallo through that middle sector. I think Sasaki really has a better car in that part of the circuit.
Yeah, Sasaki's looking pretty handy, as you say, isn't he? The mechanical grip of that Porsche looking pretty good. Keep an eye out for Guy Barbara in the background as well. I wonder if he can try and bring himself into the picture in that AMG. AMG have not won a race since 2019, believe it or not. Long time ago. They've always been there and thereabouts, but they've been the bridesmaid but not the bride on several occasions. Now Sasaki, once again, part 386 of this battle or whatever it is between himself and Valerio Gallo as we come across the timing line once more. We're clubbing into the closing few laps of this race, and Sasaki pulls to the outside as Gallo goes for the defensive line. Down the start-finish straight we go into turn 1. Gallo holds firm in third place for now.
So yeah, great by Gallo there just to keep Sasaki behind for now, but again, it's just fighting, but we love to see that. We love to see these fights here in the Gran Turismo World Series. The best drivers in the world in the best machinery squabbling for that grand final trophy. Coming now down again for another lap and running out of time is Sasaki and Gallo. I think maybe Sasaki is starting just to realise that if I stay here, I'm not going to have any sort of hope of catching Igor Fraga in front. Fraga, though, still out and still doing very competitive lap times, a 30.5 last time around from the Brazilian driver in the Lexus, and the tyres are holding on nicely for him, so I think it'll be a last lap dash for Fraga to bolt on that hard compound tyre. I'm quite surprised you don't have a minimum time for that hard tyre, Tom, honestly.
Well, the thing is, this is exactly the sort of race that Fraga absolutely loves. He loves leading from the front. He loves being able to control it, set the pace, and just run his own race, not getting involved in all the silly little squabbles that happen up and down the field. And that's exactly the sort of circumstances that befallen Igor Fraga so far. At the moment, this is the battle for the podium between Gallo and Sasaki. Once again, Barbara's just dropping off the back of the rest of these drivers as we come down the start finish straight once more. Fraga's lap time now into the 1:30, so he's not quite as quick as he was earlier on, but he's still about half a second to the good of the likes of Gallo and Sasaki around him, even a bit more than that on occasion, as you can see there, up to 1.3, 1.4 seconds on some laps there. So Fraga looking pretty handy, but the tyres now beginning to come to the end of their life.
How about that for consistency? 130.35, 130.53, 130.57, so 400ths between lap times. That is the mark of a professional racing driver. Fraga, of course, the man that can do both, fast in sim, fast in real life. Again, coming back to this battle between Sasaki and Gallo, and I don't know, I think they've started to really cost themselves. The gap now between Gallo and Fraga up to nearly 14 seconds. I think Fraga's got the time to basically pit whenever he likes at this point, but I'm not sure that calculation is correct.
It's a bold strategy, isn't it, running on those hard tyres for as long as they have done, but I don't think, as you say, it's going to be one that's going to be working out particularly that well. I don't think Robbie Heck's podium is for sure as well. He's in second position at the moment, but he's 6.8 seconds up the road from these two drivers, so plenty of time for things left to change. If these two start knocking 7 bells out of one another, that might be music to the ears of the American, but for now, he sits in a net second place, but I imagine it's going to be off the podium once it's all been said and done. So Gallo, who ride on board with Sasaki once again, closes up under braking. You've got a Honda versus a Porsche then. Mid-engine versus mid-engine. Down the start-finish straight we go once more. 3 laps left to run here at the Autodromo de Interlagos. Gallo once again defending from Sasaki. Sasaki pulling to the outside. Is he going to use the straight line speed? He's going to make a move. Gallo moves over as we come back into the braking zone. Sasaki not going ahead and not moving up ahead of the Honda driver.
That's the closest he's been coming out of there. I don't know why he didn't go for the move there. I just feel at this point he's being held up and they can be quicker if Sasaki led the train. But the thing is, we're moving in now to the last couple of laps. They're not thinking about working together anymore. They're thinking about position. Igor Fraga out front, seemingly untouchable at the moment, but he's still yet to take his final pit stop. He's going to have to pit on the next lap. So we'll see if that is enough. The big thing to me is, has Robbie Heck done enough to stay ahead of Gallo and Sasaki for Team Mazda? That would be an amazing result for Team Mazda.
It'd be great. I don't think it's going to happen, personally. I'm sorry to not share your joint optimism there, Jimmy, but it's a long shot for Robbie Heck at the moment, I'll be honest. But stranger things have happened. We know how quickly the circumstances can change in the GT World Series. Here, though, is Igor Fraga. 8 seconds the advantage he's got over Robbie Heck. He's got a further 7 seconds over Valerio Gallo. We've got 2 laps left to run at the end of this one. When is the Brazilian going to come in to the pit lane? Will it be the end of this lap, or will it be next time around? Next time around, I think. Yeah, looks like that.
Collected there. Igor Fraga doesn't like it breaking his sweat. Just another day of the races for Fraga in Team Lexus. 8 seconds the gap between now him and Robbie Heck, and 15 seconds the gap between him and Valerio Gallo in P3. Let's run on board for a bit longer with Igor Fraga, seeing how a master practices his craft. We now go down through the second straight here. Important to get a good exit out of there. Late on the brakes, breaking the concrete on the right hand side, their little concrete path, and through the next vector. Now Gallo and Sasaki, part what did you say it was, Tom?
Yeah, it's about 4,024 now.
That's still going.
I know they've got magnets onto one another. They've been so close to each other for this number of laps. Great racing between the two, great respect. But, yeah, frustrating for Takuma Sasaki, I am sure, because Gallo doing a good job in that Honda to hold on to third place. He was buoyant, full of confidence coming into this weekend, was Gallo. He said that he reckons the Honda has got the pace finally to fight at the front, and a podium in their first event of the season, at the GT World Series events at least, will be a very welcome result for Valerio Gallo if he can pull it off. But at the moment, he's still got Sasaki breathing down his neck. Now is the time we're going to see Igor Fraga coming into the pit lane at the end of this lap. He's got to come in and run at least 1 lap on the hard compound of tyre, and I'm fairly sure he's done enough to hold on to his race lead. Such is the pace of this final stint, or second but final stint, I should say, in this race.
There comes Igor Fraga, our leader, into the pit lane. Now, onto that hard compound of tyre he will go. Has he done enough to retain the lead of this race? So a hard set of the Michelin slick tyres are being bolted on now to the Lexus. Keep an eye. Robbie Heck having to come in as well to take the hard tyre for himself. Watch the gap, watch the mini-map as well. It looks like Igor Fraga has done absolutely plenty. Here comes Gallo and Sasaki. They are nowhere near Igor Fraga, who's done a magnificent job on his stint there to stay ahead of these two. But now it's going to be a fist fight between Gallo and Sasaki for second place. There is Igor Fraga getting up to speed now, but not quite close enough. So last lap then for Igor Fraga. Gallo and Sasaki behind the gap, 2.4 seconds, a bit less than I thought it was, to be honest. And Robbie Heck, unfortunately, not able to stay out ahead of the rest of the pack.
Yeah, not working at all out there for Robbie Heck, but now it is do or die time here for Takuma Sasaki in the Porsche. He has got to make this move stick on Valerio Gallo, but is he close enough? Gallo, we know he's a master of defensive driving, and he's doing enough at the moment. Sasaki has a look to the inside, into the right-hander, but the door is very firmly shut by Valerio Gallo. Half a lap left to run here in the Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final at Montreal. Igor Fraga, here comes Sasaki for the move on the inside against Valerio Gallo. It's a late lunge, and Gallo sweeps it back up and holds firm for second place. One more opportunity left for Sasaki under braking. Gallo's on the inside line, he's got track position. It'll be a drag to the line between these two. It's all about the exit out of this corner, but what a superlative drive it is from Igor Fraga and his home circuit in Interlagos. He comes to the timing line to win the Manufacturers' Cup Grand Final in World Series 1 for Lexus. It's a run to the line for second, and Gallo gets it by just a few hundredths of a second from Takuma Sasaki. Absolutely fantastic racing here in Montreal.
That was a masterclass from Igor Fraga and Team Lexus. And as you said, Tom, he just knows how to win the race from the front. Took it easy, took it in his own pace through that first stint there, and when he had to get the hammer down, he went. Fastest lap for Fraga, pole position, the win as well. Clean sweep for Fraga and Team Lexus, and Sasaki there, I think, maybe brewing a couple of mistakes. I think that could have quite easily gone to Porsche that race as well if the strategy had been different. Great to see Gallo going over there as well, congratulating Fraga on the victory. Again, I don't understand why we saw the hard tyres so early from Gallo, but that it came close at the end, but amazing race from this man. You can't take anything away. That is how you do it here at Gran Turismo.
Superb job from Igor Fraga then to take his first win in the Gran Turismo World Series in 2024. Let's look at some highlights then from that race. So Fraga started this one on pole position.